Okay, so I got some folks up here that I thought it'd be good if we let them give you some tips, and I can drink my coffee and get a little break and get my voice back. So say, do you all have mics? One. Do we have any more mics? Oh yeah, Pat, thanks. Here, pass that down to John. And we'll, here. Okay, say who you are. Thank you, dear. Say who you are, your website, and where you're from. Always tell where you're from. And then just real briefly what you do for your business so it's everybody knows, because everybody's different up here. John?
Good morning, everybody. How are we doing today? Awesome. This has been an awesome, I think we're still working on the first week. But hi, everybody. My name is John Formica. I'm the ex-Disney guy, America's best customer experience coach.
Now, what qualifies you? What makes you that?
Because I said so.
There you go.
And I'll prove it to you. No. My website is www.johnformica.com. And basically what I do is I help companies, organizations, small business, large businesses, take their customer service, their current customer service, and make it into a customer experience that is magical. And my philosophy is if you're an organization, company, business, and you just provide customer service, you'll be left behind.
Everybody say pause. How many of you know somebody who speaks on customer service? Okay. Customer service is a very booked topic, right? So for John, we have to position him differently. It's not about customer service, it's about customer experience. Same thing I did for Jonathan Sprinkles. Okay, when we created Your Connection Coach. Said, look, your whole thing should be to create a hero villain. Stop. So what we created was stop communicating, start connecting. And then this is what I would say, Jonathan. If communication worked, everybody would be communicating great. So obviously communication doesn't work. That's why you got to have me come in, because I teach you how to connect. It's not about communication. And then I told him communication is external, connecting is internal. It was just stuff we created to differentiate him. Does everybody catch that? Okay, go ahead, John. Sorry.
James hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what my philosophy was, but I didn't have the strategy or the focus to really focus on the experience. What I usually tell companies or organizations, I plant the picture in their mind and I say, if Disney ran your business, if Disney ran your organization, what would it look like? And all of us who've been to Disney or heard of Disney, of course, in your mind, you're already thinking about not necessarily service, you're thinking about the experience. So that is sort of the tie-in of letting people understand that if Disney just provided service, they'd be out of business a long time ago. They create an experience, and that's what I do. I will help you. I'll evaluate your current experiences in a coaching model, as well as I'll present to your organization, I'll present to your team, and show them how Disney does it and apply it to your business. Most people think they can't do it. Disney's this big, huge company. Well, I could never do that, but I sort of scaled it down and then wrote a book on how to do that utilizing Disney's model. So I can now promote my book to what I do, but then the book is also an extension of me of what we want them to do after I speak or present or train.
And he also does, undercover shopper type stuff, like secret shopper kind of thing, where he'll go under, but we don't call it secret shopper. Because he'll go under like cover and shop for businesses and tell them where they're screwing up. Now, is that a great added value? Is that like just what he just described briefly? Can you see the difference between how he can convince people to bring him in versus some quote-unquote customer service speaker? Okay, who looks like more of the expert? Yeah. Okay, pass it to Scott. Excuse me.
Hi, good morning. I'm Scott Keffer from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I am, founder of ScottKeffer.com and DoubleYourAffluentClients.com, as well as author of W Affluent Clients 47 Fast Tips. And I help financial advisors, estate planners, and money managers really learn how to attract, engage, and delight affluent clients, which is to help them overcome their number one concern, which is how to get in front of more of the right kind of clients. So we help them build an arc of distinction to rise above their competitors so that in the end they can take home more income, have more independence, and ultimately more impact in their life with their family, their friends, their clients, and the causes that they care about deeply. That's what we do.
Hi, I'm Reverend Julie Renee. Nice to see all of you this morning. My website is www.julierenee.com. I actually have 4 websites with different programs on them, and I have a radio show that James will be a featured guest on in December, Miraculous Living on Blog Talk Radio. And I am a miraculous healer, and what that means is I'm able to actually take people who are close to death and heal them, bring them back to life over a period of time. And I teach that through James's program. I developed a high-end apprentice program, an 18-month training program, where I teach people how to create miracles at will. I have several programs. Beautiful from the Inside Out replaces cosmetic surgery. It's a meditation program where women youth themselves through a meditation. It's half an hour a day for 60 days. They become 10 years younger just doing the meditation, which is activating stem cells and altering DNA, a whole bunch of amazing techniques that I used for all this life-saving stuff I've been doing for the last 18 years. I have Accelerate Wealth from the Inside Out and Illumination, and I'm happy to be here.
Okay, pass. Oh, Sharon's got one. Yeah, pass the next one down the. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, we're good. We got 3 mics.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Sharon Worsley from Toronto, Canada. So I'm a foreigner. I help people and companies become 4-diamond leaders and organizations. And I do that by helping people wake up, shake up, and show up in life and business. And James helped me to work out that positioning because my background is within hospitality and tourism. And I am using my experience of being a senior sales manager at a 4-diamond hotel in Toronto, helping people raise their level of leadership to a 4-diamond level. Oh, and my website currently is Sharon Worsley, that's WORSLEY.com. But because James wouldn't let me touch anything on my website until the book got done, it eventually will be 4diamondleader.com.
Okay, hang on 1 second. I'm sorry, I'm sitting back here. I'm waiting for my next coffee. How many of you are doing too many things right now? Holy crap. One more. How many? Oh, why? Holy mackerel. You got to focus on one thing. Okay? You got to really stay focused, because here's what we do. We start something and imagine like starting to draw a circle. Like you get half of a circle. Then you jump over here, you start another project that's like starting to draw another circle. Half of it. Another half circle, half circle, half circle, half circle, half circle, half circle, half circle. Next thing you know, you got all these open loops, all these open circles, and nothing completed. Okay? So you got to focus on getting one thing done. And Bill Glazer, one of my coaches and mentors, taught me, if you have no deadline, you have no project. Also, when you make an offer to someone on a website or a sales letter, you have no deadline, you have no offer. You have no see, deadlines are what make people move to get the thing before it expires. So think about that. If this has been studied by infomercial companies and direct response folks for years and it works and they all do it, why aren't we doing it for ourselves? Why aren't we making deadlines for ourselves on every single thing we start? Everybody catch that? Got it? Good. Got it? Good. The thing with Sharon also, one of the things that's very important for you is really don't lose focus of your affinity. So what's something that maybe you have in your background, your experience, your affinity to some niche or market that the market would pay for? It's very important. Okay? And maybe that's how you create your biz. Okay, so with Sharon, taking her affinity in the hospitality industry and building upon that. Does everybody catch that? Okay, so that might work for you. As they talk, I'm just going to inject little tips. Okay, Chandler, the guy from Tahiti with the T-shirt.
Bora Bora. Let's
Oh,
play.
yeah, there you go. By the way, if any of you take one of my T-shirts to a place and you shoot a video or you take a picture and send it to me, I'll be very happy.
Okay. All right, good morning. I'm Dr. Chandler George, CatchFireCoaching.com. Yes, there's an app for that.com, CatchFireInternetMarketing.com, and YourChiropracticFuture.com. We have an internet marketing agency for the health and beauty industry specifically. We have bought, started, and sold over 7 alternative medical type practices, from chiropractic to medicine to breast thermography centers and weight loss and med spas. So we have a practice management company as well, where we take all kinds of alternative physicians, primarily medical and chiropractic, and help them make millions more in their practices per year, cash, and the internet is the driver, and then we help them sell those businesses.
And Chandler has been so upset with me
Yes.
because I've never used his video. He's like, man, I took your T-shirt on a vacation, dude. Use the video.
We went to Europe for the summer, and I didn't do your T-shirt there because I didn't think you'd use it. I was in Germany all summer.
All right, go ahead, Jill. Wow. Rough crowd.
Good morning. I'm Jill Lublin, and I'm the author of 3 best-selling books, including Guerrilla Publicity, which you might have heard of because it's part of the J. Conrad Levinson series. And what I do is I help people create more visibility and credibility and drive your profit and sales using publicity as a primary marketing tool. And I'm the third time, this is my 3rd year in the Platinum Coaching Program, not because I failed the first 3, but
She
because
had
I'm
to repeat it.
because I'm smart enough to keep investing in myself and realize that to be successful in business, one has to stay at the front of your game and work with the best. And I think James is really one of the best, a man of true heart, great integrity, and incredible smarts, as I'm sure you see. So I also teach publicity crash courses, and I speak all over the nation and internationally on publicity and networking and how to be influential. And you can check out at publicitycrashcourse.com.
How many of you know of Jill? Oh, wow, look at that, Jill.
Wow, cool, thank you.
Yeah, Jill's, it's an honor to be able to help her. She's, I've been a big fan of hers forever prior to her. So we used to speak at events together, and then I was shocked one day when she was at my event and filled out a platinum application.
And you accepted me, thank you.
Okay, Chris.
Hey, James. Good morning, everybody. My name is Chris Scabatura. I actually have a website. It's called chrisscabatura.com and contagiousenthusiasm.com. For about 12 years now, I've been speaking in the dental industry, primarily to women. The pajamas are actually part of the routine. I do a seminar called Waking Up on the Wrong Side of the Bed. And then my favorite seminar is After Me You Come First, which I teach women how to take care of themselves first and then go back and take care of their families. But as you all know, currently I'm sitting in the basement of my home, removing all my debt.
And just for those who weren't here the first day, can you tell where you were when you started and then where you are now?
Sure. So when I met with James in February, actually, again, I put in an application, became a VIP member, went to meet with James, which was February 2010. And I went there with the ideas that he was going to make me a big money speaker. I was so excited. And I brought this I'm going to call it dumb. I brought this dumb spreadsheet to show him where I was in life. And it was the best mistake I ever made. Because he looked at the spreadsheet and shut me up in an instant and said, Chris, you got to get out of debt. The situation was that I had lost $250,000 just 2 months before that in a real estate fraud. And then I turn around and he says to me, okay, well, I want to know all your debt. Well, I couldn't handle the real debt, so I told him $330,000, I think, was on there. The reality is I still had a mortgage and other debt. So the true numbers, and people have been asking me, was $410,000 in debt. And we're going to do it, James. We're going to do it in about 4 months, not 6. I will be completely out of debt in about 26 months of being with James in the program. Plus, thank you. That's the debt. I also had to run my house. So the house cost in a 24-month cycle, it'll be $120,000 to run my house because I got a daughter that's going to university and stuff. So we made over $500,000 sitting in my basement in my pajamas, doing the things that James taught me to do. So it's been an extraordinary ride, and thank you, James.
Well, you're the one that did it. You did it. Give it up for Chris. Okay, John. Well, real quick, everybody just say, when did you come to your first boot camp?
2 Decembers ago, not last December, but December before. So it's basically 2 years ago.
Yeah, okay.
December.
Scott? Same? Was it same?
No, it was a year and a half, spring, so it was a year and a half ago.
Julie Renee? 1 year ago? Sharon?
December last year.
So 1 year?
February 2010.
A year and a half? Is that right? Roughly?
2008.
2008. Oh, that's right, yeah.
2 years ago, James.
Okay. All right. So, John, you sat here the first time, and first of all, say why you came. I don't know why I kind of know certain people came, but why did you come? How did you find out about it? And then you're sitting there the first time, and what was going through your head hearing some of this stuff? Because some of the stuff is probably different than you heard before.
Absolutely, James. I was on James' mailing list and signed up for his the 97 a month program, and did that and started to get information. I had heard of him from other speakers that he was the expert in the college speaking, and I really wasn't focused exactly what I did. I did customer service, I did leadership. I wanted to get out there in the speaking world. I spoke at a couple of college events on a smaller level and thought it'd be pretty neat to do. And really, I was at a point in my career where I was, like many of us are, we're just frustrated, we want to get ahead, we're beating the rock, but it's just not breaking. And I'm wondering, maybe I'm using the wrong hammer, or maybe I need to do something else. And
Well,
so,
how many of you feel like you're using your head?
yeah, that was probably more like it, I think. So I decided to make the investment. And it was a big one for me from a standpoint I've never done that before. I managed hotels for 25 years. I managed in the service, so I was always in that corporate world where everybody else paid for things, but now I'm an entrepreneur doing it on my own. So, but I figured I needed to do this, and I came, was overwhelmed. I was I'm a very outgoing person. Not many things affect me, but I felt intimidated at first, thinking here I am with all these powerful people, but realized that everyone was just totally sincere and graceful and helping and serving. And then, as we all know, that first 5 hours or 4 hours of James' seminar, I had like 100 pages of notes, and if I would have gone home from then, it would have been worth it. So I just became a sponge and realized that I had a lot of work to do to focus myself in that arena.
Okay. Scott?
How did I get here? I saw James
Kennedy.
speak at Glazer Kennedy. And how many have been to a Glazer Kennedy event? So I've been following them for a number of years. And here's what you need to know. I mean, they can put a lot of people in the room. They're sort of the kings of marketers, and most everybody today can find their way back to Dan Kennedy somehow. And they just do not give the stage to very many people. They're very discriminating. So just to start, the fact that James was on the stage speaking about speaking says a lot, because there's a lot of speakers who'd love to get on that stage. So the fact that I met him there. Now, the fact that he's from Pittsburgh, you know. But there was a bonding connection because of Monessen, Pennsylvania. And when I came to this event, how many feel stuck in their business? And that's it? The rest of you are good? No, seriously. You're not stuck? How many feel like they can get to the next level, but they don't know how to get there? Well, see, it was really clear to me. I sat in the back and I thought, you know, there's a zillion things I can do. James will give you more than enough here. But I thought, what is the one thing I need to do? What's the one thing I need to do leaving here? And I knew I couldn't get through by myself. You can't see. Aristotle said, if you want to know what it's like to be in water, don't ask a fish. You can't see yourself by yourself. You can't get that clear. And so I thought, so who's going to do that for me? Who's going to help me get to that level? And when I met James, I thought he's the guy because he's been there, he's done it, and he's still doing it. And his ability to get really clear about what needs to happen is so helpful. Don't you think? If you just had one thing to do, wouldn't that be helpful? Who would like to know the one thing they need to do? Well, that's what James can do if he sits down and thinks about your stuff. So that's what I said. I need to get with James, lay out my stuff so that he can think. And if you watch him, he's really sharp. You know that? I mean, he's not just funny. I mean, he's really sharp.
I think that's a
Seriously.
compliment. I don't know.
He's so insightful. You watch him, so he just bangs. So I wanted him to think through my stuff for me because I couldn't do that. And the other thing, so not only to give me a recipe, here's the exact things you need to do. Here's the other thing you need. When you go back, who's going to believe in you when you can't? Is that important? This is the guy. And I'll tell you, you can't have anybody in your corner like, you know, Rocky, who'd Rocky have in his corner? He's like Mick, seriously. When James is for you, am I right?
Okay.
I mean, when he is for you, he not only brings his belief, but his resources and his connections. I mean, when we did the boot camp, you know, Joe Theismann, Bill Cates, I have two high-level speakers at less than I would have gotten them off the top. And I can tell you, Darren Hardy, the resources that you bring. So it's not just the fact that he thinks about what you do and helps you figure that out, but he believes when you can't believe, and then he opens up his resource bank, which is huge. It's been huge for me. So back at the event, I just thought, what's the one thing that I need to do? Like each of you, what's the one thing? You can't do 97 things. What's the one thing? And to me, I thought, I want that guy in my corner. So it was easy for me when I got done. Though I can't tell you that I wasn't, if you don't make an investment in yourself that makes your heart race a little bit, you're not investing enough. You're not. It should make you scared. And I left here a little scared, and Annie's mom knows, you know, and when I make that phone call and I tell her, here's what I'm investing in myself, she's even more scared than I am, right? But you should be nervous because how many are going to go home and find the answer back where you came from? How many are going to leave and go home and find the answer for what you need to do? So Einstein said, keep doing what you've always been doing and expect different results. You know what he called that?
Insanity.
So I just figured I got insanity back. I'm not going to find the answer back at home. So I wanted to find the person who could help me find the answer for me. Does that make sense?
It came a point where, I'm not kidding, like, Scott was at my house so much, I was like, weren't you just here? I'm like he did everything that I offered. Scott is always the first one to invest in anything. And that's why, can you how many of you do your own seminars? How many of you want to know how to do them the right way and make money? Okay, now I'm going to preface this by, what Scott's going to tell you about what he did by saying the typical result is 0.000, okay? Because that's a 97%er. 97%er will go away and say, I think, you know, if I build it, they will come. No, they won't. No, they won't. If you knew everything we did to get you here, you know, there's a strategy on how you do your own live event, how you create the coaching program the right way. And so Scott's going to just share some stuff, and I'm just going to say there's no guarantee you will achieve this. This is what he's done because he has extraordinary results, and he's a 3%er, and he took action. So just talk a little bit about your stuff. It was created from scratch 18 months ago or 16 months ago.
Well, we started with, how many'd love to have a boot camp like this?
Teaching your stuff, having people come to you.
Right? Your stuff in front of the kind of people you want to do it. And I did, but boy, it made my heart flutter. Because I really thought, what happens if you do an event and nobody shows up? Because James is right, that's sort of the standard experience, because nobody knows how to do it this well. And I watch around in the industry, and all the events are going down, and James is going up. So what does that tell you? He probably knows something. So I said to him, let's do it, let's do it. I want to have my own boot camp, and we started in September of last year, and we mapped it out. And I can tell you, because we've done a few events before, that you have no idea how much has to get done, but if you follow the recipe. I mean, for example, how many times do you need to mail or do teleseminars or webinars and all of those? How many do you need to do? So most people do 3 or 4. So we mapped out a whole marketing campaign. We got speakers on the calendar. We designed the kind of experience, because I wanted people to come and have an experience like they haven't had anywhere else.
But what's the right topic for a teleseminar? What do you talk about? What do you not talk about on a teleseminar that gets people to the seminar? What topics should be taught at the seminar? What shouldn't be taught at the seminar? Which top? You want to know the number one reason why most events fail? Here, write this down. If you get one thing out of like anything related to events, here's what you got to take away. The number one reason most events fail. Does anybody know why? Nobody knows. Yet, how many of you run events? And nobody knows. No, it's not marketing. It is marketing, but there's something more concrete. Yes, Mr. Bond, James Bond. I'm sorry? Relevance. No, it's called a big promise. What is the big promise of the overall event? That everything else is designed to lead to fulfill that big promise. The big promise has to be unique enough they can't get it anywhere else. Be more successful is not a big promise. Okay? Does everybody catch that? So when I sat in the back of that one seminar room and I got an idea for a brand new seminar, here's the headline I wrote. Finally, someone reveals the 8 behind-the-scenes secrets that only those of us who know how to really make big money as a speaker, author, trainer, coach know, ... You will now know them also after this event. Now, how many of you want to know what those 8 are? That's a big promise. Then everything is designed to fulfill that promise. Everything comes right back up to that big promise. I see people doing events. I can tell in 2 seconds whether anybody wants to come to it, because they don't know how to craft a good, compelling promise that makes people want to come. Okay, Scott, go ahead, just do the fast version.
So we did WAffluentClients.com, and I had think about it. So starting from scratch, I had no testimonies. Now we have testimonies, we have all that. So we had very little social proof. So we had to build this from scratch. So at the very first event, we put 47 advisors into the first event. Is that good?
What was the registration fee average, roughly?
1,000. We charged between 900 and 1,500, depending on when you came in. Now, who knew when to send those out, and who knew when to raise the price? And who knew what to charge, and who knew all of that? And who knew how to structure the event, and who knew when to do it? I mean, that was what James gave. It was everything, the recipe. Then he said, we're going to offer platinum coaching. Seriously? Right? It's $1,000 to get there, and then we're going to offer platinum coaching at $13,000. And the boot camp was enough because I thought if nobody shows up, people don't really know, we could cancel it. But if you offer platinum coaching in front of everybody, people know whether they sign up or not. And I think we had 12 at that very first boot camp. 12, is that good?
Well, and don't think it's that easy. I mean, you still got to structure put it together the right way. When is it taught? When is it offered? Is it offered on day 1, day 2, day 3? Is it morning, afternoon, evening? Is there a lunch associated with it? Is there not a lunch? What do they get? What are the bonuses they get? What do they not get if they're not in? Does everybody catch this? It's not just as simple as, don't think like you're going to do an event and all of a sudden, oh, okay, great, 13 people or 12 people are going to sign up for your program. There's all strategic thinking that goes involved.
And everybody's going to tell you not to do what he tells you to do. No, I'm serious. So then this is really good because everybody's saying, oh, I wouldn't do that many. Don't send those things. People are going to be annoyed. Don't do this, don't do that. I just listened to James. Right? LTJ, listen to James.
Hey, he even listened to me on creating his own sayings. LTJ.
LTJ, listen to James. And then we did a follow-up one 6 months later. We had 60-some, and then we've just finished our third one, 60-some, and we have 31 advisors in platinum coaching now. 31 advisors across the United States and Canada. And this last event, we had advisors from Hawaii, Puerto Rico, all across Canada, and we had an advisor from England. He just had to cancel at the last minute. But we'll have one across the ocean next time. But I'm telling you, I never would have done it, let alone not just wouldn't have known how to do it, I just wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it without James. I was too scared. Anybody scared in here? The rest of you are liars. Seriously. You're scared to do what you should be doing. You're too scared to do what you should be doing. It's just not that you don't know, you're just too scared to do it. So he believes when you can't believe. Is that good? It's really
All right,
good.
give it up for Scott. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. Reverend Julie Renee.
Yeah.
So, what did we implement for you? How were you helped after you sat here? All that kind of stuff.
Okay, great. First of all, I just want you to know me, which is I was exposed to the atomic bomb, had 17 surgeries, 5 near-death experiences, 2.5 years in the hospital, actually clinically died at one point. And I began a recovery process for myself. First of all, I was determined not to die. So when I was dying each time, I was like so determined not to die. And have a very strong faith, and have over my lifetime been able to really be able to bring the gifts, the golden nuggets that I've learned from the divine into the world. I started getting really healthy, and there was a point in my life where I had to say to myself, if not now, when? I'd like to share this with the world. And
How many of you have that point? How many of you hit that point in your life? Like, really?
If not
the rest
now,
of you, not?
When? When am I going to do this? Yeah. So I started really a strategy about 4 or 5 years ago, developed a way to teach other people what I know, and have really a desire to bring it out into the world globally. And obviously I'm a spiritual teacher, reverend. Also lived in India. I'm initiated as a priestess in the yogic tradition. And I wanted to partner with a coach that didn't just work with spiritual people, because I wanted a different modality. I wanted my voice to be heard in the world, not just to come up through the spiritual ranks and be one of many. My spiritual teacher friends were all really surprised and like, why would you do that? Why would you sign up with James? But I really saw the alliance as being the perfect alliance, because my voice would not just be heard in the spiritual world. My voice would be heard throughout all communities. And this is like I learned a new language by being with corporate and college speakers, of course. Because that's not, I'm a spiritual teacher, I spend my time meditating, really, literally. I have 60 meditation CDs.
Julie Renee, let me inject something. Folks, one of the greatest lessons you could learn, okay, I'm in a mastermind with some major people, some of the biggest internet marketers in the world. Dave Lindahl is in that mastermind, the guy that, was Dave here? He was here yesterday. 7,000 deals he's done in real estate. Lloyd and Vicki Irvin are in that group. Mixed martial arts. I'm a speaker. I do speaking, right? So you see the diversity. Rory Fatt, who is the creator of Restaurant Marketing Association, okay, and teaching restaurants how to market. So why would I care about being around somebody in a restaurant industry? Another mastermind I'm in, Paula Abdul's in there, John Carlton, legendary copywriter. Well, why would I care about being around an entertainer or a copywriter? It's not like what I do. That's exactly why you get in those. One of the greatest tips you could ever learn is this: stop trying to learn from people inside your industry. Learn from people outside industry, because that's where you get stimulated new ideas. And how do you take that idea and apply it to your biz? Does everybody catch that? So if Paula talks about how she became unique and how she resurrected her career, right? Any of you want to resurrect a business? Well, how do you take the same principles and apply it to possibly your business? Because principles work, okay? But one of the keys is to learn from folks not directly attached to what you do. Got it? Okay. So it's very smart why you did that.
Exactly. And you know, there's one thing, and I know that there are healers and spiritual people in the room, and one of the things that's common is that we are underpaid. And I'm one of 5 people in the world who can create a miracle at will. I can take somebody, I've been at accidents, scenes of, people dying, and I can stop their death from happening. There are 5 of us on the planet. But I was being paid $140 to $170 an hour to actually literally save lives in this way. And I would resent it in a way because I thought, people will do a $100,000 surgery or whatever they'll do, and I'm getting $140 to save a life. And there was just this feeling like I have this special gift. I should actually be able to live a comfortable life. It wasn't like I wanted more than anybody else. I just wanted a really comfortable life myself. And I really wanted someone who said, do it. James told me in February to raise my fee immediately to $500. It's really funny because I resisted for a couple months. And it wasn't like I wanted to resist you, James. I wanted to exactly do what you said, but I knew that it would just cancel out a lot of the people that were coming to me. But the moment I did
Time out. What you should, folks.
Yeah.
If you're $140 an hour, you're attracting $140 an hour people.
Yeah. And
You catch that? Okay.
I want to say also that when I came to James, I've been 6-figure for 4 years. That means that I work around the clock, is what that means. So I maybe put 60 hours of healing work in and have no life because, I'm exhausted when I'm done. So I raised my fees to $500, just felt really great. I will be at $1,000 next year because I am worth it.
Per hour.
Per hour, absolutely. And
Yeah.
there's hundreds of testimonials about me because I've been doing these healings for 18 years. So there are just one after another. I would never have been here if she
Well,
weren't
they've
for
done
her.
studies and research and things on you, correct?
Yeah.
The other thing, one thing that I did for Julie Renee was her packaging of her products was all jacked up. Now, she's about enlightenment and helping, right, to bring all levels of enlightenment and prosperity and real positive stuff to people's lives, and she was dressed in black. You remember that?
Yeah, my brother and I, we got this thing. He has 16 motorcycles, and I'm a bit of a motorcycle chick, so I was doing that kind of edgy thing, which I see I have my shoes.
Which is fine, but your packaging has to match your positioning, or you're going to resist.
Yeah.
People will resist attracting to you. Okay, so if you're talking about helping folks and enlightening people and, working with them, let's say on a spiritual level, you don't wear black on the covers of everything. You also don't wear red, okay? Or you don't have like a bright red cover. Do you know why? If you study colors, okay, there's a reason stop signs, fire hydrants, and stoplights are red. So in our unconscious mind, we got 2 parts of our mind, our conscious mind, which we're thinking with right now. When we go to sleep, it goes to sleep. Our unconscious never sleeps, the second part. It accepts without a doubt. Anything gets programmed into it. It doesn't reject, it doesn't analyze. It's like a computer, it just stores it. So we already have it stored in our mind that red, bright red with white equals stop. I see people, some of you have book covers and product covers that are red with white. Unconsciously, you're telling, and you hold them up from the stage, and all of a sudden, unconsciously, and you don't even know it, you're giving off a negative trigger that goes, oh, I ain't buying that. I don't want to be around that. I got to, stop. Does everybody catch that? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I did go out to meet the publicity people at the Publicity Summit, Steve Harrison's event, and I wore white the entire time. You'd be very happy.
Good.
And all the TV people just loved me and said, you have to be on TV, oh my God. So I had all the
Okay, so let's get to last minute, some things that we created.
Apprentice program, right, the apprentice
Yeah.
program. I want to talk about that. I have had a desire to teach what I do, and I won't be able to teach 100% of what I do, but I'll be able to teach at least 60% of what I do to people who are natural healers. So I just recently, with James's help, have created an apprentice program. It's an elite program to teach how to create miracles on a daily basis. It's really every 8 weeks, there's a 3-day weekend. And then there's a little bit of interaction in the middle. There's a 1-hour teleconference.
That's
There's
fine. You don't have to go through all that. Just
Right.
what's the pricing? How'd you raise it?
It's a $20,000 investment for an 18-month certification. It's 9 weekends, basically. It's interesting because people aren't used to that in the spiritual realm, but I am definitely getting people to sign up. I had a really phenomenal September, had a weekend where I just had a very small group, and I brought in 29,000 with a small group. It was like 12 students I had.
That's a far cry from $140 an hour.
Yeah.
Is that good? Give her a round of applause. Now, again, the typical result is $0 Okay? These folks, and Julie Renee is a 3%er, 97%. Here's why, one of the reasons I'm saying this. You got a decision to make. Are you going to be a 97%er when you walk out of this room after 4 days, or a 3%er? I don't know. You can tell me lip service all you want. None of it matters. Only matters what you do when you get out on the street. Okay? Okay? So you got to have that in your head. I want you to walk out thinking differently and put the stuff to use because it works. Okay? All these folks wouldn't say this if the strategies don't work. Think about it. So you got to use them. Okay? Remember Jim Rohn. You cannot hire other people to do your push-ups for you. Okay, Sharon.
I just wanted to say one last thing, which is I'm so excited. James put his arm around me. I said I'm 7-figure next year, and I'm committed to that and declaring that here. James put his arm around me and said, let's do it together, and I accept.
How many of you would like me to put my arm around you and get you to a higher level?
Come on down.
Okay, Sharon, you're up.
So I first heard about James Malinchak because a few years ago, I had signed up on his website. I don't remember how I got the email, but James previously had a membership site where you could go for, I think it was $50 a month, and you could listen to all these audios on his website. And then you could download little mini books, kind of like the manual we have now, but broken down. And I thought, this is really cool. I really want to learn from this guy because he seems to have a lot of things that I don't have. And so at the time I was working at the hotel, and it was the summertime, and I was really committed to learning as much as I could about this craft and marketing this craft. So I actually didn't trust myself. I shut off my cable. I called the cable company and said, shut it off for 3 months. And I would work at the hotel all day. I'd come home at night, and I would listen to all these audios and fill in the blanks in the pages. And I went through, in that summer, 84 audio programs that he had on his website, which I think was actually there were 84 on there. And so
That's an action. That's a 3%er.
Yes.
Sat there and went through every single one. I had no idea until she told me probably, 7-8 months ago, I think it was.
At Jack's event, actually.
Oh, at Jack Canfield's event. Yeah, you told me that.
Yeah, so it just happened that I was in Jack Canfield's inaugural Train the Trainer program. Many of my peeps are here with me. Woohoo!
Oh, that's right. Hey,
It's
where
like
are the Jack Canfield peeps? Stand up.
Stand
Where are
up
all
if you've
Jack
done either
Canfield
Train the
peeps?
Trainer or any other course with Jack.
Holy mackerel. Holy mackerel. Wow.
I'm in great company.
Oh, I love Jack.
Yeah.
Isn't Jack one of the greatest of all time? I just had dinner with Patty Aubrey, his CEO, in Vegas not too long ago.
So I was in Jack's program, as I told you, and phenomenal program. And I was sitting there thinking, how do I now take what I've learned from Jack, plus all these other people that I have studied under? And I was actually standing up in front of the group, and I think it was San Diego in probably March of last year, telling Jack about James's program. And James walks in. So James, a little bit like Jessica Alba. We're even now. And so he got up and spoke to us for a few minutes. And then he was part of the program with Jack is that he has expert calls once a month, bringing in people like Brian Tracy, James Malinchak. And so James made this terrific offer for Train the Trainer graduates to come to his December and February boot camp. So here I am at his boot camp, already remember having learned so much from him before, plus having gone out and studied a lot from other people. And I'm sitting there over where Sherry and Peggy are sitting over there in the second row. And it's the first morning, and I'm taking a ton of notes. And I've already taken tons of notes from him. I had 2 binders. By the time I'd gone through the 84 programs, I had 2 large binders of all the information I had filled out and taken from his calls. And I'm writing, and I'm sitting there going, crap, how do I work with this guy? And then I find out about his platinum program. I'm sitting there thinking, oh man, I have invested so much money to date with Jack and everyone else. How am I going to do this? So how many of you are Canadian here? How many Canadians? So you know what an RRSP is, right? I didn't have many of them. If you're from the US, it's a 401k. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, I'm turning 50 years old next year, and I don't have a lot of RRSPs for my retirement. But you know what? I've got to make this happen. I've got to do whatever I can to make sure I work with this guy. So I'm starting to plan, thinking in my head, okay, how much money do I have in my RRSP? What's the penalty if I take it out early? Blah, 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 blah. I'm going to make it happen. And that's exactly what I did. I made sure that I signed up for the program. I have already told them I'm in for the second year. And I met with James for my 5-hour one-on-one back in February. Now, I had been a fairly successful coach up until that point. It wasn't just Jack's work. I had a coaching practice since 2002. And in 2005, I was privileged. How many of you have heard of T. Harv Eker? Yeah. So I was one of his coaches for 4 years before he closed down the program. And I had the opportunity to coach people from sales professionals to network marketers right up to multimillionaires. I coached 5 multimillionaires while I was working for his company. And, you know, people would say to me, how can you do that? Because you're obviously probably like 100-air. How can you coach these people that are millionaires? And I remember Tony Robbins once being asked how he, at $40 million, could be hanging around with billionaires. And he turned to these guys and said, because I have something that they don't have. And I recognized that I was able to help even multimillionaires help them in their business and their personal life. But especially, you know, it didn't matter whether they were sales managers, stay-at-home moms, or multimillionaires. I noticed that it was the level of their personal leadership which was the challenge. And so I came to James at the 5-hour and I said, you know, I want to go out and talk about personal leadership, recognizing leadership's a really popular title. He goes, you know, we got to have some sort of spin. And I remember him saying to me, Sharon, I don't want you to be a broke-ass coach. And I went, James, thanks for looking after my butt. How do we make this happen? And he, like he said earlier, we looked at what I had done in the past, working at a 4-diamond hotel. He goes, that's going to be your unique positioning. And so I went out and he said, companies like systems. So I came up with this 3-part system, how to wake up, shake up, and show up in life and business. And that's really the transition that I made. So now I am one of North America's leading authorities in personal leadership. I had previously to working with him, I had read lots of books on branding. I had gone to lots of teleseminars, lots of seminars. I'd invested a lot. And you know, the best I could come up with was the life solutions expert. It made me look like everyone else. So for me to spend the time with him, sort of letting him see what he could do with my expertise and what I wanted to do was totally invaluable to me. And people say to me, why are you coming back to the 5th boot camp or the 3rd or the 2nd? And you know what? In the first 3 boot camps, I took over 30 pages of notes. Now, and some people are like, 30 pages, and I write small. But there was that much information, even having gone through all his audios before, because what James just said a moment ago, with all the things that he's out there doing, he's investing in himself. I know when he goes to something like Glazer Kennedy and he invests himself there, he's actually investing in me and all the platinum members, because that flows down.
Okay, we got to watch the clock. We got to pass it on. We got very limited time, 30 seconds.
You know what? I would totally encourage you. If you're sitting on the fence, it's just fear that's stopping you. All your success is just past your comfort zone, so take the step.
Hey, you ought to write that down. And that should be one of your quotes. That's a good quote.
Okay. Everyone write that down. Come tell me later.
All right, Chandler. Everybody's got 4 minutes.
I met
Watch
James
the clock. Down below.
Yeah, I met you at the Glazer Kennedy. That's where we first got signed up. I had first seen him in 1999 in a speaker organization, and I just thought, well, he's a tall, skinny kid doing his thing, and I was a doctor. So, but here's the amazing thing. I'm just being honest, and I'd had multiple coaches, 25 and 23 years and everything. And so I'm watching him over the years, and he's a rocket ship. He's a rocket ship, and he has his own satellites up there, and he has his own space station. And I want to go where James goes. And if he's the rocket man, I've always dreamed as a little kid of being the rocket man. You know, Rocketeer, I think, is one of my favorite movies. That's him. when I saw his energy and where he was going, I remember telling my wife, Sherry, who's in the room, I said, and she agreed that, faith is when you're making a leap into an unknown and you have to activate, your in my case, God-given ability to be your best. Well, it's not a leap of faith to go with James. That's not a leap of faith. I had been watching him for 10 to 12 years already. I have pieces dating back 5 years from him because I had been in the speaker organization that he had marketed to me. I had been watching him going, I don't know who he is. I do nothing in the college speaking industry, but I know one thing. These are cool pieces. I'm going to keep them. And I knew people like this lady. I had known her for years and I knew of her, and she was watching that. And I saw all this. I was on the periphery. And as he was doing that rocket ship, and then we came to his first boot camp, I've been to 7 now. This is my 7th. I will be at least, I'm sure, at 3 of them next year, going into our 3rd year with James. What we get with James, for me, was how better to communicate as a paid speaker, highly paid. See, as a doctor, I didn't usually get paid to speak, but yet I made $20,000 to $30,000 every time I did because it's how I built my multiple practices. I remember asking James, I go, well, I've seen you do better. And he almost hit me for that, I'm sure he could have. Because he is a phenomenal motivational speaker, but he probably does better when he isn't trying to be the best speaker, but he has a strategy to it. And that's what I learned from him is his focus. The guy doesn't sleep. He has a focus and a strategy about everything. I get unfocused. I want to sleep some. He doesn't. And I think he, on purpose, will put me at midnight to work on something or whatever. Because I remember that first time, he just threw the stuff at me, we're changing it and, what he's famous for. And I was mad, and we went out and played ball, and I said, I can't play basketball. I don't want to play ball either. But then I realized he could out-serious me real fast, and he got real serious and got real focused, and we were able to put together masterminds that we would make more money with. We were able to close a lot more business, because that was one of the big things, is how do I ethically, from a Christian perspective, work with doctors, chiropractors, who are the most hit-up coaching group ever. I mean, that's where 30-something years, and I come from 15 of them. How do we go there and ethically close them in a higher way for something that niches? Well, he was able to show me the niche. He was able to show me the personality. He was able to show me better ways of closing without it being, we had this, I remember in his Mercedes driving down the road, he said, you don't want to do that, Chandler. You don't want to do that, Chandler. That's the wrong road. That's not you. You don't want to do that. I will teach you everything you want to know. And I'm holding him to it. And he is. And it isn't just the speaking in front of each other at his house. I get just as much, if not more, from the 30-minute phone calls or 20-minute phone calls. Because when I call and he calls me back, this is what I love. I hate wasting time. I'm a little ADHD. I want to run. He runs. He'll go right there, and I'm good. I'm done. I respect his time. I'm done. Yet one time we had another hour-long conversation, and I felt bad about it, or kind of guilty. So I really appreciate him. I appreciate his time. I've had a lot of coaches, and nobody really does give more. I mean, there's a reason why he didn't have a close family and a wife and a lot of kids, because he's giving it to you. You're his family. You're his family. So here's my suggestion in my 15 seconds. Here's my suggestion is if he lets you consult and work with him, is that you do it before he does get wife and kids and decides to get out of the game, because he doesn't have to do this. He doesn't have to do anything if he doesn't want to do it. Take advantage of his youthfulness, his energy, and his ability, and launch onto his rocket ship and go where his space station is going, and you can't go wrong.
Wow, that's nice. I think that was a compliment, so thank you. Okay, Jill, put 4 minutes on the clock. Wendell, thanks, buddy.
We had actually first met, we were both speaking on a stage to authors and speakers, and I bought his program. I mean, I was so blown away by James, because one of the things that I think is really important, as you're all doing here, is to constantly keep learning, right? No matter what you're doing in life. And so for me, I was just so inspired by his presentation and what he was offering. And one of the things, well, I've learned a lot over the years that I've been working with him, but one of the things in particular was that I'd been giving away too much content. Like, people would listen, oh yeah, great, Jill, thanks so much, I don't have to work with you anymore, because I got everything you taught me about publicity, right? And so what I noticed is I worked a lot on scripting with him, particularly on the close and the offer of my publicity crash course. My sales increased, and typically in a room, 28 to 33%. That is a lot, and that puts money in your bank account. So that was really powerful, and really learning how to do that in ways that still give great content, real value, really help people, and have them work with you, because you're the gift, right? And if you are holding your gift and not being able to really share it by really helping people through boot camps and further seminars, you know, what good is that in spreading your message? So for me, one of my missions is to really help people spread their message. And getting them and having them work with me was really powerful to support that. So I'm really, really grateful for that. The other thing I noticed is that I have a coaching program that I offer in my publicity crash course, and I noticed people wanted more what I call rapid results. We actually renamed a program, Rapid Results Publicity Program, and I do it now in 3 months instead of 6. So what we did was we increased the value of what they got. We decreased the time they had to spend with me. We actually lowered the money amount, but frankly increased my sales revenue because people were picking that program. So that was really powerful, is finding the right program that would work, that would touch the pulse of people and get them in movement, keep them working, and doing it in the right way, as he says. So that was really great. And I also want to say that when I first met James, I had just come out of an accident where I had fractured 2 ankles. And you know those moments in life, I had just spent 5 months in a wheelchair. And those moments in life where you're not so good, you know? And listen, I understand about perception and image. I come out of the music business. I get how to move perception, and I'm a master at public relations. And yet when it comes to you, me, you know, it's hard to see yourself. And so there I was in the middle of a moment, I'll call it, where I was having trouble. Business, I'd missed a lot of business. I couldn't speak. You know, it wasn't real dynamic in a wheelchair. And my revenues had suffered a bit, and life was a bit more difficult in that moment. And I remember sitting with James. This was one of our first in your house coaching sessions. And he said, so what do you need? And I remember talking to him about that. And it was almost like James didn't see that part of me. He saw the brightest part of me, right? So now I can integrate the story, because your story is so important in who you are in life. And to bring your story forward is imperative and an important part of any of your message. So now I can integrate that story without it running me. And the great news is James didn't let it run me either. He saw the best of who I am, just as, you know, he'll see the best of who you are. And to me, the power of that in spreading my message and helping you spread yours is integrating your message and then taking it bigger, broader, wider. And for me, not holding me to that, but taking me beyond that was the power, very powerful, in our coaching program together. So I love that. I also got a raise. I mean, how many of you have been working too long for a certain amount of money that, you know, you keep charging because maybe that's what you know, that's what you think, you're afraid to charge more? Guess what? I raised my publicity crash course prices, and people paid it. And they were happy to pay it and didn't notice it. And so I got over for myself my own fears or places where perhaps I was a little afraid to charge more.
Yeah,
and that was really helpful.
Excuse me, many of you, I'll tell you right now, are way undercharging for your time, knowledge, experience, and expertise. And you don't even realize it. Okay? You got to break free of that. You got to get. How many of you are coaches in some way, shape, or form? Okay, here's a very big tip. You might want to write this down. Stop charging like a therapist on a hourly basis. You're letting people judge you on an hourly basis. That's just one little tip. You can't do that. You'll never be able to raise your prices and increase your revenue. Okay, so give it up for Jill real fast. Chris, 4 minutes. Last 4 minutes.
So I was, about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I was, like the majority of you in the room, I was a 97%er. I took whatever came in the door, it was fine. But I wanted to be something more, so I searched out James on the internet, and I found a site and did nothing about it, and that was about 5 years ago. Of course, why would I do anything? I was just living life the way it was. The funny thing is, about 2 years ago when I lost all that money, I went downstairs and I cried in front of my computer. Thought, what am I going to do now? And so I thought, well, I might as well clean up things because I'm going to lose the house. So I was going through my email and I found an old task in the Outlook Express. There's the task list. And there was this link. And so I clicked on the link and it didn't go anywhere because it was this college link that was old, I guess, of James. But anyways, I seeked him out. In about 5 minutes, I found him. And you remember what Glenn said last night, the little something that happens in your stomach? I ran upstairs and I said to Elizabeth, guess what? We're going to LA. And she goes, we have no money. I said, that's cool, don't worry. I know how to activate credit cards we have. We're going. My beautiful wife, Elizabeth, who believes in me. Right, you do? You can stand up for a second. I got 4 minutes, it doesn't matter. So I come here and I'm sitting over here, right about there. There were different aisles then. And about 15 minutes into it, Elizabeth and I look at each other, and James felt like family. And I'm not going to get into my family because it's really weird, but James felt like family. And I had never felt that kind of family before, never felt that connection before. So unfortunately, I go to Davey. Davey, how do I sign up? You have to wait, you have to wait. Cindy, how do I sign up? You have to wait, you have to wait. Well, the day finally came, and I didn't wait. I just went to the back, filled it all out, and literally prayed. Oh, it was the worst time of my life. I had to go home and wait. And the phone didn't ring, and the phone didn't ring, and the phone didn't ring. And finally the phone rang. And it was James saying that I had been accepted into the program. My life changed. I want to tell you a quick thing that I saw in the, everybody saw that Occupy, Occupy, Occupy. The saddest sign on there was the people holding up the sign saying, I'm one of the 99%. That's a sad sign. It's a sad sign. I was so desperate to pick up a sign and say, I'm going to be one of the 1%. And that's what this is about here. James has given me the greatest credit of my life by telling me I'm one of the 3% now. I'm honored to be even mentioned in that phrase, but I'm chasing the 1%. I really am. So what he did for me was he made me do something at home that I didn't want to do. I hated selling that software. I did not like it. I hated selling the software. So I go home. For 2 months, I pout, and then I finally started to do it. Well, last month I did it so well, I broke all sales records. So the crazy thing is, I'm not doing what I'm passionate about, which is speaking or singing. But the reality is, I'm doing what James told me to do in something that I was doing before. Believe me, everything that I'm doing now was available before I met James. It was all there, just like you guys. Everything that you're doing right now, I just went, and he took my head and went, and said, go there. And when I finally did listen to James, everything's changed. Now, I'm hoping to be out of debt in the next 3 to 4 months, and then we'll do whatever James says. It's just the coolest thing. So, I don't know what to tell you. If you want to be one of the 3%, do what you have to do to make it happen.
All right, give them a round of applause. Thank you. Oh, we're done. Thank you. Good, John. As you're leaving, you could say something.
Gotcha. I just want to tell everybody real quickly as I'm leaving, because I didn't get a chance to really just share something. I'm not the average where all these great success people are. They're awesome. They've done great success, and I'm very proud of them because they're my brothers and sisters. But I sat in the seat, and I just basically utilized. I wasn't the one that said, boy, I sat in that seat 5 months ago, and then now I'm a multimillionaire. But I will tell you, I sat in the seat, and I made a decision, and I'm more excited about not what happened in the first year with James, because he helped me write my book, get my brochure on my website. I am extremely excited about what's going to happen afterwards. And I had my second coaching section with James, and that's what I'm fired up about, because it's not only the coaching that took place the first year, but it's the continuous, and more importantly, it's the friendship that we've developed, and I think that is valuably important. So James, I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to say that. Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you, buddy. Okay, so, no, I've got a mic. Okay, these are some of my different coaching members who, some have been in boot camps for a long time, some have just started. I thought it'd be a cool thing for you to learn some ideas from them. Just a couple things here about what they did to get started. So just say your name, where you're from, and real quick, like one sentence about your business, because everybody's different. Good, Scott.
Scott Keffer from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, just a little teeny smidgen north of, I could throw a rock where James grew up. And I help really three things. I help individuals redirect their taxes away from the IRS to charity. That's one of the things we do. We help charities motivate their donors, and we help other advisors do the same around the United States and Canada.
And when was your first boot camp, just to put in frame of reference?
February.
That was your first one, and then you came to May.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and this is your third. Okay, so 6 months roughly into it. Okay, Carol?
Hi, I'm Carol McManus. I'm from Darien, Connecticut. I am a recovering corporate executive who now, thanks to James, is America's LinkedIn lady, and we'll talk more about that later. I met James at the Glacier Kennedy event last November, went to his December boot camp, and signed up for coaching then. So this is my fourth event since December.
So roughly 7 months.
7 months.
So 6 months, 7 months. Okay. Julie.
All right, my name is Julie Marie Carrier. Many of you know me as Julie Lapley, and I'm with JulieSpeaks.com. All right.
Oh, smart.
Yeah,
Ah.
I'm listening, you know. So, and also I'm known as a top speaker for teens, tweens, and girls, and I'm MTV's Teen Success Coach on their #1 hit TV show, Made, which I'm really excited about. And I'm just grateful to be here and grateful to be impacting so many lives thanks to James's help.
And how long have you been around? You're
My
like
goodness.
you're like old luggage.
Yeah, I was like one of your first. Hey now, I was one of your first coaching members, right?
Yeah,
Your first
back
group.
in, I think it was 04 or 05.
Yeah, that's right. Best
Yeah.
decision I ever made.
Oh, cool. LaKendrick.
Hello, my name is LaKendrick Wilson. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. I am better known as The Awesome Life Guy, thanks to James Malinchak. My website is www.lakendrickwilson.com. And in terms of how long I've been around, maybe just a little bit longer than Julie. I came 4 weeks before Julie, January 2005. I speak on the college and the youth market and looking to transition into the corporate market.
Cool. And Diane. Oh, I don't think the mic's on, Diane.
Try that one? Okay. Hi, I'm Diane Lampy. I guess I'm the baby of the group here. I'm from Dallas, Texas, and that's www.lampycompany.com. My husband and I are in the insurance business. We're in 46 states and joined the program, and actually first event was in May.
So, yeah, you are the rookie.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And actually, you know what? We don't have another chair, but I'll just pass the mic to Bill every now and then for some commentary. Okay, so, Scott, how did things look for you before? Let's just take, well, first of all, real quick, everybody go down. One thing you took out of one of the first, how many of you are brand new to this boot camp? Raise your hands. Okay, cool. This will help all of you. Think to the first seminar you attended, whichever one it was, whether it was this one or it was the college speaking big money one. And what was one thing you heard there that you wrote down amongst the numerous notes that you went away and you did? Or like something that struck you there that changed or did something. Just I'm looking for one tip from all of you that will help them who are the first timers go away and do something.
I think was just do stuff fast. So the best thing to do is just walk away and do it. Set a teleconference, set a webinar, just set something up, and then just walk through. I mean, if you just watch James and you walk through his manual and just walk through your teleconference, and you can make phenomenal changes that have incredible results. I mean, you'll go from here, even if you're successful, you'll move up 2 levels just by applying just what James does. Because he not only tells you what he's going to do, he shows you what he's going to do, and then he tells you again. So if you just think through the kind of things that make this event so powerful and model your event after that, the results will go through the roof. And so that's implement fast and just do what you do.
Okay? Yeah, well, if you've got somebody who, I'm really good at one thing, folks. If I know someone who has something or is doing something I want to do, I go model them and do what they're doing because they've already probably spent all the money to figure it out. Think about it. Okay, so just do what they do. Okay, Carol.
I agree with the get things done fast, but I think the other message that I would give, especially for the newcomers, is the easiest thing that can happen, which is the good news, bad news in a conference like this, is you have, I know, every one of you has so many ideas going on right now, right? How many have pages of notes and action steps? Okay, laser focus. Take everything that James has taught you. I hope many of you will take his coaching program, because if you need help with that, he's the guy that can help you get laser focused. But most importantly, pick one, stick with it, and take it to the finish line, because that's the only way you're going to really make money fast. Otherwise, you're just out there with a whole lot of what I now call white noise going on.
What is it?
White noise.
Well, white
just
noise. I
all
thought you said-
I could do this, I could do this,
I
I
thought
could
you
do this,
said
I could do
biting
this.
noise. I was like,
and
what
all
is
that
biting noise?
is a distraction.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so Julie, I mean, think back. I mean, you think back to when you first came, because you're a first timer. I remember you were looking for coins in the cushions to get on the metro, trying to pay your rent. And the first thing I remember the first thing. Do you remember the first thing I said about fees? Oh, okay, go ahead. I didn't think you remember that.
I was going to say the number one thing that I remember way back when I went to James's boot camp was that you and your message are valuable, and it's really important to increase the investment for your service. And so I went from a very, very, like, almost embarrassingly low speaker fee to literally quadrupling it or tripling it. And I was like, oh gosh, nobody's going to pay that. You know, my message can't really be worth that much. But funny enough, when I did what he said, even though I was uncertain and kind of scared, people perceived my value more, and I was able to help more kids too. So it was really, really cool. Realize that what you offer is valuable, and you deserve to be compensated for it.
So place a higher value on yourself and what you're charging, and you don't even have to think you can. You might be charging $50 or $500. Hey, when I first started consulting, I told you this on day one, I think, my consulting rate was buy me a hamburger. Take me out, buy me a hamburger for lunch, I'll tell you whatever you want to know. Then it was a hamburger and $20. And then it was a hamburger and $50. Then it was a hamburger and $100. Then I got rid of the hamburger. And I did it by phone because I just couldn't have enough time to talk to everybody. So, but the point is, at least I charged the hamburger. So I understand some of you may be just starting. I get that. But you're too valuable to give it away. But you may not be able to make the mental leap to go to $200 an hour for consulting, or you're charging $500 for a speaking fee. I think Julie, what, $1,200 or something, 15? It was $1,000, and I looked at her right on the spot in this boot camp, and I said, what was it, $2,500? I said, you're $2,500, and you would have thought she was going to have a heart attack. I said, and here's the thing, I understand in your mind it's a big mental leap. You don't even have to believe that you could do it. You just have to know that I've talked for tons of youth organizations. Jonathan Sprinkles has. All these other folks here have as well. And $2,500 is a standard fee, pretty standard fee for youth organizations. So by you charging $1,000, when all these other folks are charging $2,500, they don't think you're any good, Julie. You're devaluing your services. They don't think you're any good because you're under what everybody else is charging. And now they're questioning you. Does everybody catch that? Yeah. The less you charge when it comes to these things, the less effective they think you are. Okay? And I said right on the spot, I said, if you don't start charging $2,500 right now, I'm going to kick you out of the boot camp. And I did that because I studied with some basketball coaches, and I'm pretty good at when the time's right to drop the hammer or when the time's right to be nice, or from reading people. And I knew that we had to break her through that fee resistance because she was devaluing. So you went to $2,500, and do you remember what happened when you started quoting it? And
people were like, wow, we absolutely, we'd love to have you at our conference.
I think you did, I don't remember exactly, 6 or 7 in a row didn't say no or something like that. Mm-hmm. Now, the talk didn't change. Everybody catch that? The marketing materials didn't change. The website didn't change. The only thing that changed is she quoted 1,000 instead of 1,000. It was 2,500. Does everybody catch that? You don't even have to believe right now where you're at that you can raise the fee to what you want to raise it to. You just got to believe that there are already people who are already doing it, and just because you haven't done it doesn't mean it's not being done and that you can't do it. Got it? Good. Okay. LaKendrick.
The biggest aha I got from the very first boot camp that I went to was that you really need some type of, I won't even say product, but a book to establish yourself as a leading authority. And back then, James offered a group book project, and I immediately jumped on it because I didn't have a product at that time. Just having that group book, and it was maybe 7 or 8 pages that I contributed to with other authors, and I see that Nita Scroggins, who I had never met before, but we were in the same group book, she's here. But just having that, I was perceived totally differently. There were people who came up to me, I've never written a book before. Man, you must be somebody. I'm like, well, maybe I am. But just to put it in perspective, and I'll make it quick, there was a school that I was looking at trying to do some work with at Memphis, Lemoyne College. Before I mentioned that book, they were like, well, we really don't pay anybody, or excuse me, we really don't invest in anybody. And I mentioned, well, I have a group book that I could actually offer your students that would be continuing education. Everything changed immediately, and I was able to get the contract. And again, had I not had that group book, and again, a group book, not even my own yet, I wouldn't have been able to get that particular contract.
Cool. Now, I got to give LaKendricks, oh, yeah, go ahead, you can clap. I have to give LaKendricks some props here. There is nobody that I have ever been around, especially in a coaching format, who listens to more of my stuff, literally, we'll get on a coaching call, and he'll be repeating stuff from audio albums I put out 4 years ago. No, I'm not kidding. There's nobody I've ever met, including myself. I'm not like that, and I listen to a lot of stuff. But the guy actually, listens to, just talk about that for a second. You listen to everything. Not just me, but maybe me, but maybe others too.
Well, good example. I see Manny in the audience. I'd never met Manny before, but I remember seeing and hearing one of his CDs that he did with Jonathan Sprinkles. I listened to it at least 3 times. Julie Lapley, I've taken about 3 pages of notes from 2 of the CDs that you did with her, and I know the first one had to be about 4 years ago. Maybe the second one was 3 years ago. Jill Lublin, I've had a chance to meet her last night. I've listened to her CD that she did with you at least 3 or 4 times. So I try to make it a point, like you said, always invest in yourself, but write the notes down and then commit it to memory, because then once I commit it to memory, then I can do something about it.
Yeah, cool. Okay, Diane, your first seminar, your first boot camp, May. You're the rookie of the 5 starting basketball members here.
Right, and I wasn't even supposed to be here.
Up high?
I wasn't even supposed to be at the event. It was like a fluke, and my husband encouraged me to come, and it just opened my eyes to so many things. And so all of you sitting here today, you've got notes and notes and notes. But what I would encourage you to do, and as I've always made this a habit, is each night I go to my room and I figure out what are the most important things I got from the day. And then I do it the next day and the next day, and then hone them down into 3 things. And I always do that anyway, put them at 3 things, and take that action as soon as you get home. Because if you don't, you're going to forget all the great stuff, and you'll put it off and put it off. And the money is where the action is.
That's good. That's really good. That's actually a really good quote. Did you make that up?
Just now.
The money is where
I like
the action
that.
is. Yeah.
Write that down,
Actually,
honey.
positive or negative. There you go. There's part of her philosophy. Her and her husband, Bill, wave to everybody, saying everybody knows who it is, Bill. They train a lot of business folks, people wanting to get into business. So there you go. That could be part of your philosophy. That could be part of one of your catchphrases. So you got to start quoting yourself. You got to start putting it out there, in books, on your website, just like these. Look, all those are like $70 signs printed up at Kinko's. These are like $200 signs or whatever, $300 signs. So it's not like this major thing to put a quote on something. You just got to kind of do it. Okay? But that's how you start creating a following, start creating a positioning, a personality, is by to start quoting yourself. People don't ever think about that. Got it? Good. Scott, you came to boot camp last couple. Then you came to my house for a consulting. Anything was helpful for you going through any of the stuff? Well, you actually been to my house like 3 times or something in the last couple of weeks. So just talk about some things that you implemented that are specific for you, that sort of thing.
Anything been helpful? How about everything? Well, 15 years ago when I started the current business I was in, I hired a coach for $60,000 a year, and I wasn't taking $60,000 a year out of the business. My wife almost had a heart attack. But I just figured back then I didn't need any help being mediocre. I had done that most of my life. So.
Hey, Scott, there's a good quote for your
Right? But I knew I could buy other people's experience, and that it was a lot better. When it was young, it was really cool to burn my hand on the finger or burn my hand on the stove, but that's not a great way to go through business. It's just a painful way. So you could buy other people's experience. Well, all wealthy top advisors have coaches. So that became really clear to me. I didn't have coaches. So I started then, and I've had Inc. magazine, top 50 coaches. I've had some really good coaches, and I've had some really not so good coaches.
So what are a couple things I had you change that produced instant results for you fast?
Well,
or even the text message you sent me.
Yeah.
That was a
I
good
mean,
text
James
message.
does a lot of things, but one of the things he does really well is he thinks from the perspective of the prospect right away. So we got together and he reworked, just like that, he reworked just our strategic results, which are essentially our strategic promises to our advisors. So that came out, and that really changed our thinking completely. But we walked away from, and I'm just a believer, if you meet somebody who's genuine and generous and shares, and James doesn't hold back, I buy anything and everything that he has, because I know, what's that?
Invest.
I invest because I know the payback is like that. So we did our session, and it instantly changed for a webinar, and then we did the event coaching as well. So I walked away from that, and I had a webinar coming up, and I just completely changed
This is amazing,
the
by the
webinar
way.
based upon what James had done. And I've had webinars before, so we went back, I think we finished on a Friday or Saturday. I had a webinar for a Tuesday. I went back and I redid it based upon your advice. Just a couple of things he told me, how to say them, redid the advice, and this was a cold webinar. We sold 4 licensing packages, which for us is really good. We went from a 50% drop-off signage to those actually show up to 40%. We had 92% stay to the end, and we had 4 invest in our licensing program.
Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but what's your licensing program?
It's about $18,000.
Each. He had 4 at $18,000 on a cold list. How long was the call?
92 minutes.
You know, it's one of the toughest things to sell a high-price thing on a cold call, like cold teleseminar. Sold 4 at 18 grand. Results not typical or whatever that stuff. I mean, that's not. That's just that's his story.
Hey,
I didn't
forget
say-
that. Results are typical. I just forget that. You listen to James, and the results are typical. So
Actually,
then James, right? Just something just reverberated through my mind during our coaching session. So on Friday of that week, I'm getting ready to come out here. So this was last Friday. I'm coming out Tuesday for my mastermind session, and I said I'm going to run it again. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
Give everybody a chance to do it again. So I sent him an email and just said, I'm heading out of town. I can't even change my opt-in page. You'll have the wrong date on there. I ran it again. We had people show up, and 3 bought that.
Oh, wow.
2 bought that day, and I didn't tell you, 1 bought 2 days later. So we had 7 respond to that. Just
Wow.
again, just you said run it again. So thank
All
you,
right.
James.
That's awesome. Couple key points. Number 1, you see the GSDF happening here? He left, went away, changed the page, changed some wording, and what he was saying on the call, bam. So it doesn't have to be like 6 months of planning this stuff. And the second thing is the courage to offer a high price item because it's worth it. Okay? And the thing I admire about Scott is he just does stuff. He just goes away and does it. Okay? All right, cool. Congratulations. Carol,
What was the question again?
something that actually what you were telling me up there would probably be a good one. When
Okay.
you came up when I was fixing, I'm like, oh, that'd be a good thing to share.
All right, then let me just do a quick lead into
Yeah,
that.
let's do the quick versions.
Okay, the quick lead into it is when James and Ed came into my life in December, they resonated on 2 very important points. Number 1, I needed help getting laser focused and figuring out how to take control of my business instead of my clients controlling me. When I left the corporate world, went out on my own, I was very blessed. I had a lot of business, but I was all over the place, and I was always adapting to the needs of the client coming out of the industry. But using social media, things started to go off in different directions. I also was trying to become this learner about everything I should be doing on the internet, had listened to a lot of books and tapes, and was totally confused and was doing nothing. So the system that you'll hear more about today from Ed and James's coaching just hit me right at the right moment. when I first talked with Ed, who I spoke with first, he says, you got so many things going on here. He says, you need to talk to James to get this sorted out, and then I can help you. So 6 weeks later, I'm sitting in James's home. I went with my little list of all these things I'm doing, and he asked a curiosity question. He said, so wait a minute. Where's all this business coming from? Because you came out of the real estate industry, but you're telling me 70% of your business is now in other industries. Where's it coming from? I said, well, that's a funny story. I was a boomer. I'm not a social media maven, but somebody dragged me kicking and screaming into the social media space back in 2008, and I played. How many of you have played on social media? And I don't mean war games on Facebook, but tried to figure it out. And it started to click. And for me personally, while I do use Twitter and Facebook, my real business, new business, was coming from LinkedIn. And I said to James, I said, you know, it's really funny, but I made over $186,000 last year on LinkedIn from people I didn't know a year ago. And he says, stop. Don't do anything else. He says, that's your branding. He said, you need to teach other people in the B2B market how to use LinkedIn for business. Secret sauce for me, A, 17 minutes a day, and B, free, and C, do away with a lot of the other stuff that you're spending time and money on. So that was what happened. Fast forward.
She's America's LinkedIn lady.
America's LinkedIn lady. The site has not even launched yet because, not because I've been procrastinating, but because I was busy with other quote unquote real business clients who were paying me.
Let me inject something here, and then we got to get to the.
Okay.
Wait, let me inject something. Well, who says she's America's LinkedIn lady? I did.
Yeah, he absolutely did.
I did, so now she is.
Yeah, and that branding.
Wait, time out. Does everybody catch that?
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali's. Why was Muhammad Ali the greatest boxer who ever existed? Because he said he was.
Right.
Why am I the big money speaker? Or why am I big money speaker? Because I said I am. Got it? Why is Bill Gates America's #1 referral coach? Because he says he is. I'm pretty sure he didn't get a certificate from. That's good. Yeah. I'm glad your mind changed since you've been here. I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's
but
all right.
Do you all catch that?
Yeah.
Okay, it's not like she was anointed. It was just that I called her that.
Right. It's just a branding, and I started trial ballooning it with my clients because I am doing a lot of social media training in the New York metropolitan area. Fast forward, using my own strategies and refining my strategies from January 28th when I was sitting in James's home to date on LinkedIn, new business, $250,000 already this year. But the magic was this morning on my way down here, and this was what James wanted me to talk about. I got a phone call from a client that I had put a bid out to a few months ago. This was a $60,000 call for a social media consultation with his small business. What's going to happen is I'm going to spend 4 hours with this client with another person who was the person who dragged me kicking and screaming into social media. He's currently between jobs, is very good in this space. He's going to do most of the heavy lifting. I'm going to pay him $20,000 of that $60,000 as an IC. So for 4 hours of my time, I'm now going to make $40,000. I have, in that one call, paid for my coaching with James.
Woo! Congratulations. All right, Julie.
It works.
We'll do short versions here. What's something that I maybe kicked you in the rear to get you in gear to do, or something that's paid off for you?
Well,
I know what you're going to say.
My book has just been a huge asset to my business, both personally, professionally, and as a source of revenue. And I was going to share something else as well, real quick. One of the things that I got from James in the very beginning, I was really trying to figure out how do I get more clients. And he said, well, go to where your current clients are, and also make sure to be memorable and appreciate them.
Good story.
And so I was talking to my clients. I learned that 3 of them were going to this conference. And I was like, well, why not? If they're going to that conference, then I'll pay to go to that conference too. And so so I went. I was the only speaker at that conference. I couldn't believe it. And so I told my 3 clients that I wanted to appreciate them because they were great, and I was grateful for their support. And so I rented a limo, and I got a reservation. My husband's Mr. Foodie, got a great restaurant reservation. and I said to my 3 clients, you know what? This is a special appreciation evening. I want each of you to invite 2 other people to the dinner, and we'll appreciate them too because we're all in the industry of making a difference for our kids. And so I invited my 3 clients, and then I had a wonderful group of people. We had a fabulous dinner. I shared with everyone there how much I appreciated those 3 people. And then you know what? They started talking about me, and Julie's the greatest speaker we've ever worked with. And by the way, I would say all but one of the other people who were at that dinner booked me for events, including very large investments in my book as well. So basically, Bill and I added it up. We spent $1,000 that night, but the return on investment was over $28,000 from that one dinner. So,
Yeah. Here's the thing. Think like a marketer. You know, when we were doing a coaching call, I remember, look, you got to go to this conference. If that's where these people are going to be, that's one of the reasons I don't go to speaker-related type conferences. I always go to meeting planner conferences. When I was building my speaking career, it just made sense to me. Wait a minute. Speakers can't hire me. Why don't I go where the event coordinators are? So I used to go to American Society of Association Executives. I used to go to NACA for the college market. I'd go where all the event coordinators, the people who controlled the budgets, that's who I wanted to be around. I don't want to go sit around tables with other speakers. I want to go sit around tables with people who control checkbooks. Got it? Very, very smart. How many books have you sold, by the way? It took her 2.5 years. We were talking about this at dinner last night. 2.5 years.
I know.
Bill, her husband's been yelling at her longer than me. 2.5 years to get her book done. And how many books and what price point?
Yeah, last year I sold 6,000 books, and I sold it at the price point between $12.95 and $17.95. So, and that was with just a small group of people that I was marketing to. So I'm really excited about that.
So you know what I said, right? After I said, oh, awesome, congratulations. I said, now here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about how much money you've lost because you didn't get the book done sooner. And then I said, I bet you book number 2 won't take so long. Cool. All right. Go ahead, LaKendrick. Something that you've done, or gosh, you've done so many different little implementations.
I was going to say, I can talk about something recently when I came to my one-on-one. It was the funniest thing. James and I, we were going through my questions, and then he just stopped because I think he just felt something that I needed to hear. So for the next hour and 20 minutes, he took me and I saw clips of Christy Frank. We went through Dr. Bill Dorfman. We went through famous Dave Anderson. We went through all these people. And the point that he was trying to pretty much get into my head is you got to start thinking differently. He was like, you're too talented to be at a point where you're not getting more clients and getting more revenue going in. And at first I was thinking, why are we going through all this? I'm thinking, because these are not the questions that I brought up here. But then I'm now thinking, as soon as I got on that plane, I'm thinking, he was definitely right. My marketing materials are now different. I've gotten on my designer, and I was having a few, I guess a little bit of an opportunity area where I was dealing with somebody who was very nice, and I was going for that. Well, no, it's my business. You're going to do it the way in which I tell you to do it. I mean, and that's not to be mean, but this is the way it has to be. The deliverables now, like I guess before James got with me and we had that conversation, and now look totally different. So I'm looking at the drafts now and I'm thinking, okay, now I'm looking the way in which I want to look, and more importantly, I can be perceived and be compensated the way that I want to be compensated. So that was huge for me, to be honest, to go through that, because now I think differently and act differently.
Yeah, he couldn't figure out while we were showing him these video clips, and I had a teaching. Everything I do for anybody, for interview, is a teaching point. I mean, we don't do it to just blow smoke. I mean, we're doing it to move you forward here. And so I could see the look like, why the heck is he showing me this stuff? This is not, because the questions he brought weren't going to make him any money. You know, we had to reshape, and I had to and that's what I'm doing. I'm 5, 10, 15 steps ahead of you when you and I are talking. You're talking about one thing, and I'm already, okay, that's not going to work. This will work. Here's the way I would do it. I would rebrand this. I would go after this market. She's going after the wrong market. She ain't going to make no money at it. Here's a place where she's leaving money on the table she doesn't even see. So you're talking, and then all of a sudden I just interrupt you. And I say, okay, forget all that stuff. Here's what you're going to do. Because I'm already thinking 10, 15 steps ahead of you, because there's 2 things that I'm doing all the time. Number 1, I'm thinking like your prospect. And if what you're telling me isn't selling me, then why are we even spending time on it? I got to reshape you, remold you, recreate you. So I'm thinking that way. And number 2, and this is the big key, I'm thinking as if I were you, how would I be getting money? If I were you, how would I be getting to the cash? If you're a youth speaker, I'm you. Like, so when you're talking, if you're in a hallway and asking me a question, I'm not thinking like you. I'm like thinking, if this were me, how would I do this to spin it into profit? And is this something that your prospect will buy? Because I'm you in the scenario in my head. Does everybody catch that? And I think if you are doing coaching and consulting for someone on any topic, that's how you should be thinking. You know, I don't believe that BS that coaching groups or associations teach you about the answer is within you, so I'm going to ask you questions. What? I didn't pay you to ask me questions. I pay you to tell me, you know, what to do, how to do it. That's why I'm coming to you as a leading authority on this topic. Tell me what to do. I can ask myself questions. Okay? Okay, cool. So, Diane, and you and Bill were just there. Oh, I forgot about what you told me when you were in my house after you left the house the original time.
Right. Well, I want to say, I wanted to say this one thing. Bill wasn't with me at the first event. And so I remember when James was talking about his coaching program, and even before he even talked about it, I already knew I was going to do it. And so I can remember calling Bill, and after I did it, I said, "Congratulations, you're now a platinum member." And then there were some other things.
And Bill said, "Who is this?"
And then I called him back because there were some other things that we did with James and Ed, their program. So I kept calling him back, and he says, "Are you done calling me now?" But I will tell you that Bill came with me on the coaching session, the one-on-one with James, and it was awesome. We sat there, and Bill and I were in business together, and we're, you know, obviously married, and we have been for 18 years, and we're best friends, and we do everything together, and totally in love with each other. And we sat there, and we're very giving, and we give a lot of our stuff away. And so James said, whoa, you know, let's realign some things in your business. And the important thing is when you sit with him is that not only sit with him, you go back and implement it and take action. It goes back to that action word again. And so we did it right away, and we changed some things around in our business. And even the first month was an additional income, and I know we won't say that on there, but it will be an ongoing income, which is very nice, that we wouldn't have done hadn't James sat and really just told it like it is. And so I appreciate that, and I thank you, and I know that's just the beginning because there's more to come.
Oh, yeah, it's only been 2 months, I think.
It's only been 2 months. But that's why when I was looking for a coach or a mentor, I chose James, because he has not only the values and the integrity, but it's the speed. The speed is what you want. You could either spend a year trying to figure it out yourself, or you could go here and have somebody do it in 5 minutes, or maybe it could be longer, or 10 minutes, and just tell you.
If I'm having an off day, it'd be 15.
15, okay. But that's the purpose of it. That's the purpose of how people become successful faster. You got to move forward faster.
Oh, yeah. 2 things I want to touch on. Number 1, LeKendrick said he went back to his designer. I mean, I kind of got a little firm with LeKendrick because we've been dealing with this.
Yes, he did.
I got tired of hearing the same excuses from him about why his designer that he's paying money to can't get off her ass and get the brochure to him for what? This has been like over a year?
I would say it's been...
Exactly. So now I'm not the bad guy. He's the bad guy.
I was going to say, it's been about 6 months. I mean, from when we initially kind of started it up until that point, and it was just taking so
6
freaking
months,
long.
folks. Brochure. Can't get it right. So finally, I'm like, LeKendrick, man, you need to get rid of her. So who's paying whom? Well, yeah, but you know, she's got that. Yeah, but nothing. I mean, she needs to get off her ass and do this. And you know what? I don't want to hear this from you anymore. I've been telling you for 6 months to get her off her butt. So I don't want to have a conversation. We're wasting your coaching time with this. You know, so either go do it or don't do it, or get out of platinum or something, but do what I'm telling you to do. And he did, and he went. Has she been doing it?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Here's the thing. It's really, current coaching members, where are you? Put up your hands. Okay, here's something I should have taught this. I never taught this before. Make me the bad guy with your vendors so that you have a good relationship. My coach said this, and this is what he wants you to do. Put me on the phone with them. I don't care. I'll get on the phone with anybody. I'll be the bad guy for you. So now that you don't be the bad guy or bad gal, make me the bad guy. Got it? It's like the whole car dealership thing when the sales guy goes backstage and says, oh, my manager won't let me do this. Oh, come on. Come on. Got it? Okay, the manager's out playing golf. They do that whole sliding the paper thing down and all that stuff. Those are all techniques. Okay, so make me your bad guy. Here's what my consultant, my coach, said to do. And by the way, if they aren't done, he'd like to get on the phone with you. So that way you have a good relationship. Got it? Got it. And then the other thing, in Diane and Bill's case, they got all these leads in. Remember, a lot of times the hidden money is where you least expect it in your business. They had all these leads coming in from the internet, and they would convert, X percentage. And I said, and so they're like thinking, like, maybe we need to get more leads or more advertising, get more leads. And I'm like, well, hang on a second. What about the percentage that aren't converting? Where do they go? Yeah, they just kind of go away, floating around. But no, we don't need more leads. Let's convert some of those who don't get into the business that you're offering them, the great business, and let's create something for them so we can pick up money from them. Let's just not send them away. So let's take your great knowledge and coaching and stuff you have and create courses and curriculum for them that they can learn from so maybe they can start buying product from you. So they may not want to get into the business that you're in, but let's go get those 80% or whatever it is and get them to give you some money. Because they're going to go and learn and give it to somebody. Why not be you? So we're basically trying to fill a hole in a bucket. So that's hidden money that could have been, producing revenue for a long time that was just falling away. How many of you right here that maybe helped? That you maybe have certain people that don't buy one thing from you, but you could offer them something else, and you could capitalize on them with something else. Has everybody got that? That's called finding the hidden money in your business. What is that worth to you? Could be worth tons of money. Okay, were they helpful? Yeah. Could you give them all a round? They did not know I was going to pull them up there. Could you give them all a round of applause? Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. So, Sally, tell everybody who you are, where you're from. Don't tell this part yet.
Okay,
you talk about direct sales and all that.
Okay, I'm Alligator Sally. And
no, don't tell that part.
Oh,
tell who you were before you became Alligator.
Okay. I have a direct sales background, and so I came to James as a coaching client and wanted to start in the speaking business because I had been in direct sales, and then I owned my own party plane company and did that for several years, and recently sold the business and decided to go into a new direction. So I approached James, ready.
So she's in a mastermind and wants to do this direct sales thing. But before that, she's telling me, before we went into the mastermind, she was telling me about this unique business that her family has. So tell what the business is. See, that's part of what you got to do. Like, find this uniqueness, right, that you have. Remember, I put up before Ed with the fighter pilot background, Colonel Carl Hunter, right, with the military background. What's your uniqueness? What's that unique positioning going to be? It's so critically important. That's why we're spending almost a whole day on it. So she starts telling me about this amazing family business, and I'm like, I got it. This is it.
So I'm from Louisiana, and there's a lot of alligators there. So we have about 10,000 alligators on our property, and so.
An alligator farm, right?
We have an alligator farm.
And what do you do? What's the family business?
Well, so we started out creating products out of the alligators, and then we.
And I love my belt. My belt's good.
And then we got so much interest, we actually ended up creating a park open to the public where we brought in extra exotic animals so that it's open to the public, and so we have kind of two businesses. And so then, we sell the products, and we have the farm, and we have the park. So lots of alligators.
So in the mastermind, we came up with, well, shoot, you're almost like Mustang Sally. So you're Alligator Sally. So why don't we position you? And she's like, huh? nobody's gonna like that. Nobody's gonna, Alligator Sally. Has anybody liked it?
Absolutely, absolutely. 100%. Everybody has loved it.
Yeah, so she got photos with alligators, and she speaks, but her unique positioning is Alligator Sally. Let America's authority on direct selling, Alligator Sally, empower your audience at your next event. Okay, because how does she make herself different in direct selling? How does she make herself different than anybody else who's been successful like her in that world? How does she stand out? So we used something from her background and created this unique positioning, this unique persona, if you will, to make her different than others who are teaching possibly the same thing. And do people remember you anywhere?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I don't know if I told you this the other day, but I went to a couple events recently before I came here. And absolutely 100% I know that I was asked to be in joint ventures only because of my brand.
So
I was
actually, because of your positioning.
I was asked to be in a movie, and I was asked to be in like a series of books. And I'm definitely the lowest player on the poll.
Wow.
So, you know, it was all because of the brand.
That lowest person on the poll right now, it's only been like a few months. Give her time to catch wildfire on this.
Because I've only been with you a few months.
Oh. Like where your head's at. So I said, as soon as she showed me all this, I said, well, we got to do a book now. We got to match it with a book, and we got to position you with a book because more people will pass that book around than they will the brochure. Okay? So give it up for Alligator Sally. Oh, yeah, I noticed. Yeah, I got that. So I told her she should start showing up speaking with an alligator. I did not. Neither James Malinchak nor James Malinchak International endorses that practice. Okay, so these are 5 of my coaching members. Just to be transparent, they're all coaching members. And I thought it would be helpful for you, they're from different backgrounds, different businesses, if I just have them say some things that maybe like they got when they were sitting there. They all came into coaching at a different time. And maybe it'd be helpful for you, like things on, and we'll go through these, things on like, what did you do when you got home? What was the first thing you did like Monday morning? You know, what helped you when you were sitting here learning this stuff for the first time, that sort of thing. So I try to, every event, try to pick some different coaching members to give some advice to you guys. So, sorry about this. So why don't you guys just introduce yourself, who you are, where you're from, what you do. And this is your time to coach them. Oh. That's right here. Oh, wait, I'm missing a chair. I was going to get Jamie. Where's Jamie? Jamie, you here yet? Jamie. Oh, I was missing you. You mind popping up here? Because you just came in February, right? Shoot, we're missing the 6th chair. Here, I get it. Oh, thanks, Wendell. He is more than an AV guy, folks. Give it up for Wendell. Hey, Wendell is great. I mean, we don't think about it, but you know what? We get to see the screens because of Wendell. No, seriously, if you think about it, we have a timer because of him. We have this thing here, and it doesn't go out. This cord gets taped so it doesn't pop out so we can run everything smoothly. I mean, think about that. How important, if you're doing an event, your AV person is. Okay? So can we give Wendell a round of applause for making it easy for us to learn? And just as we said, everything shuts down. Okay, good. Just kind of, whoever. Oh, we probably should start with Manuel.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. All right, my name is Manuel Fabriker with www.collegeplanningabc.com. I learned that from James. And I am a college...
so let me just say, always share your website when you have an opportunity. So you never know, someone might be here and be able to come over to him. Now, the next thing you know, you guys are doing business together. So on a webinar, teleseminar, if you ever get a chance to speak up in person at a chamber event, always give a way for folks to find you. So it helps if you have an easy website to remember. Sorry, man.
Okay, awesome. So I'm actually out of San Jose, California, and I've been with James now for almost a year. It'll be July, would be the 1 year. What else do you want me to tell you? Sorry.
What's your business? What do you do?
Oh, I'm a college planner. And so actually, Brian and I are buddies, and Brian actually helped me get into the business. And so that's what I do. So I help save families $40,000 to $60,000 off their college expenses.
Morning, I'm Susan Whitcomb with www.theacademies.com, and I show career coaches how to make a lucrative living doing what they love. We train, certify, help people find the mindset, mechanics, and momentum to make money.
All right. And Susan just very nicely 2 months ago, a while ago, had booked me to speak at one of their career conferences in Las Vegas. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Deborah Wilson. I'm from Boulder, Colorado, originally a California native, so it's nice to be back here. My website is www.angelsandprosperity.com. That's my current one. I'll be doing a new one, thanks to James, or I should say an additional one. My business is teaching people how to be spiritual and wealthy, and my tagline is, "It's okay to be spiritual and wealthy." And so I show that...
Oh, hang on. How many think that's a cool title?
And what
Now,
I would say is we came up with that just from the, I wasn't even in the program yet with James, and we came up with that because I came in and I actually met him. He was an answer to my prayer. I have to say this,
Oh,
James.
that's nice.
Seriously, I'm an intuitive. I actually see and hear spirit simultaneously like stereo, and I had a vision in 2009 of what I would be doing and where I would be going, and that answered prayer actually came as partially in meeting James and helping to take my business to the next level. So.
Okay, so hang on one second. What's the title of your book now?
The title is "It's Okay to Be Spiritual and Wealthy," and I'm trademarking that. And then
Are you catching this? You don't want to work too hard, and if that's what her message has been, why wouldn't we position that as the book? I think it's a great title. Have you ever thought about, wow, I wonder if it's okay to be both spiritual and wealthy? Maybe I shouldn't be, maybe I should. That's a dilemma that goes on, I think, with a lot of folks. And when I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, that's the book. I'd read that. So sometimes you don't want to overthink something. Here's something she's been teaching for a long time. It's like, well, why isn't that everything, your whole positioning?
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Stacy Kennedy, 100krealestate.com, and I show individuals how to create passive income through apartment investing. And I've been working with James since August of last year, and all I knew when I started working with him is that I had a passion for speaking and teaching, and that was all that I knew. And James has been working with me the past year to give me a roadmap, give me a recipe for exactly what I need to do to reach my target audience and to do what I absolutely love and make great money doing it.
Stacy's the one that when we say, well, why would we put it into a book when we should, with your knowledge and years, and I want you to tell what you have done over the years, why don't we just put it into a training course? Why take all that amazing years, all that knowledge and all those years and put it and give it away for $10 or $20 in a book? Why not put it into a home study course? So just real briefly, tell your background. Because this is important for positioning. I'll do a teaching point here in a second.
One of my biggest questions going in is, do I position myself? Am I like the multi-unit queen? Everyone had all these cool, like queen of this,
Everybody's a
diva
queen
of
now.
that. So when
all the females are putting queen after them, and they're like,
Yeah.
marketing queen, sales queen, all this stuff. So, it's becoming this. The queen thing's becoming this.
So going to James was important because I just didn't know what my positioning should be, and what he came up with was very different than what I expected, and I've realized now it was bang on. I mean, he's an expert at what he does. But my background is that I'm a CPA, so I went through the world of the CPA world, left corporate America, and started doing real estate investing full time, and that led me into property management and doing apartment investing. And I now have a niche specialty in doing management turnarounds in the world of apartment investing. So I took my corporate experience, matched that up with my real estate experience, and now I have not only real estate investing, we niche it down further to apartment investing, and then James helped me niche it down even further to I have a specialty in taking underperforming apartments and turning them around so that they're performing, and there's a massive amount of profit in that, and there is nobody in the market. There's people doing it, but not very many, and nobody is marketing it. And James helped me to uncover that so that when I'm competing, for lack of better words, I'm not competing with Dave Lindahl, who was a guru when I never even heard of real estate investing. And so now I have a place in the market because James helped me uncover what that is, and I would not have had the slightest idea where to go when I started. And I completely owe every success I have till now. I mean, I did it too, but I would never have known what to do. I know, because you're going to say, oh, you did it. Yeah, okay, I've done the work, but I wouldn't have known what to do.
She did it all. I was just kind of the positioning, and that's kind of what I do. I'm like the thinking guy. No, this is what will work. I've been down the road before. I've been in so many different niches or businesses, and I know what will work. I know what people will buy. Once I really put my thought to it, I get actually irritated. I think the record for figuring somebody out first was 21 minutes, and I'm trying to beat that one. So I get irritated when I don't do it. Like if we spend like 2 hours and I don't get it right away, I start to get irritated myself.
James is brilliant in every area. We've talked about other business areas, and I was astounded. He is one of the smartest businessmen I've ever known outside of here. So no matter what your business is,
oh, that's nice.
I'm telling you, he can help explode it.
Okay, so one thing I want to say about Stacy's positioning, because a lot of people might not think of this level of detail, so you got to think like this. So I'm thinking about anybody here do any kind of real estate? Do you anybody teach it in any way? Okay, couple. So how many real estate teachers do you think are out there? Tons.
Probably thousands.
Okay, thousands, right? So how many of you think that the most of them are a CPA? No. So I'm like, we have to play that up big time. Because if I have the choice of learning from two real estate teachers, if you will, and one has this amazing accounting and numbers and forms and background, and IRS information background, right, on how to deal, oh, shoot. Okay, fortunately it's empty. And the other one doesn't, who do I feel more secure and safe with possibly learning from? So I remember her asking me when we were in my house, should I even mention this? I'm like, oh, heck yeah. Yeah, if you have a credential like that, then and that will help separate you from others, then you might want to play that card really heavily as a piece of your unique positioning. Now, if you don't have those, you want to kind of shy away from that, obviously, and find something else that's unique that the other, let's say in this case, real estate trainers wouldn't have. Does everybody get that? So if you have certain degrees and credentials, that in your niche might be one of the main things that you really position heavily and package and promote. Does everybody get that? Okay. Especially if you're going to be doing like nutrition or something medical or legal related, and you've got amazing advanced degrees and advanced learning and certificates, then you probably don't want to hide that in the background. You probably want to say, here's why you should learn from me. Look, boom, 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 boom. I've been trained here. I got this certification. So for some of you, you may want to really play that and use it. Got it? Okay.
Good morning. My name is Stephen Griffith.
Oh, man. He's like taking over the stage. Let me sit down. No, okay.
My name is Stephen Griffith, and I'm a high-performance coach. And I had my first coaching session with James about 3 weeks ago. And what I do is I work with entrepreneurs, business owners, entertainers, athletes, and really identifying what's holding them back and taking them from the potential to their high-performance life. And I will tell you that meeting with James, I'll just say this up front, one tip in restructuring my business yesterday paid for my entire coaching almost 2 times. So first of all, thank you. When I came up yesterday, that was, I showed him a check that I got from one of my clients, and I was doing the same thing. I tripled my prices with this particular executive and then signed him up for a year. Now, I was doing kind of the same thing. I had all the pieces in place, but the problem was I wasn't branding and positioning myself right. So I worked with him, called him a bunch of times. He was probably tired of taking my calls. And I said, well, how do I set this up? And he took me step by step. So I already had the skills, but he took me step by step to really, how do I present it? What do I say? What's the paperwork that I use? So yesterday on the break, I had this appointment. I had already talked to him. I just presented it, and he goes, oh, I'll just pay for that up front. I'm like, yes, I like that.
Well, give it up for Steven. He's the one that did it. Hey, he did it. I just laid out some ideas, gave him the keys to the car. I say this all the time, but he's the one that actually did it. A lot of people get taught the same kind of stuff, and they don't do it. So you sitting here have got to get up off the butt and do it and implement the stuff and put it in action. Or, I'll make you one guarantee. If you don't do anything, you won't get anything new. How about that? Right? So you got to change. If things aren't working the way you want them to work, then you need to adjust. So when would now be a good time to start adjusting? And so with Steven, can I share he had said this on a video. Do you remember what you said? He said he figured out in 2 hours what I've been trying to figure out in 15 years about his positioning. Do you want to kind of share your positioning? High performance versus optimal?
Yeah, so I have, let me just tell you this funny thing. So I have this thing called the Coaching Intelligence Institute. So he looks at me and goes, dude, what is this? You gonna institutionalize somebody? And I thought, you're a jerk. But I will tell you this. It really, really woke me up to, I'm kind of in this, I kind of have this little bit academic life, and then I have this other life, and he just said, I don't even know how to buy it. And that was the biggest problem. And so he's like, well, what do you do? And he said, take me through a client. So I took him through a client. He goes, well, it's high performance. And earlier in my career, I worked with a lot of athletes. So he said, let's just brand that, and then you can do your relationship coaching, these other areas under one brand. And I have another product that analyzes email communication. And I was all excited. Let's work on this. He's like, dude, move this over here. All right, let's work on this, and then we'll bring the other product back in once we brand you correctly. But you've got all these things going on, and no one really knows exactly what you do besides the people that get directly referred to you. And that's where my blind spot was.
He's got this amazing email program, but remember, everything's run by the calculator. So once we started running the numbers, you basically had to become Walmart to make it work for right now. Walmart, right? You got to have sheer volume, low fee, sheer volume. Okay, so I'm like, well, wait a minute, but your whole career, your business success career has been with this high performance stuff, and that's what people know you as. His program's phenomenal. I mean, we've shown it to a couple of internet folks, and they're like, holy mackerel, this thing is unbelievable. But sheer volume, you got to go get for a low monthly fee. So actually, you probably did in that one client more than you would do in a year in the email communication one, if you think about it. But that's what he does. That's what he's great at, and all of his trainings in. So why wouldn't we go after that and position that and kind of put the little, Walmart kind of high volume business that you have to do on the side and start that off? And because why would you want to keep pouring money into something that's not going to have the biggest return? You'd rather invest in something that will bring you the biggest return. And that's what he loves doing, is coaching. So high performance in relationships, high performance, teamwork, high performance this, high performance that. Everything's under high performance because that's what he does. But yeah, that was funny. I remember that. The optimal, what was it?
Coaching Intelligence Institute. Just when he said the institute, you're going to institutionalize me?
Well, it didn't match what he does. I know what he does. I've been to his office, actually. I've ridden in his car with him when we went to the Jimmy Kimmel thing. And he's coached professional athletes and executives and screenwriters and all this for high performance and have breakthroughs. I'm like, well, I don't get this optimal stuff, this institutional stuff, right? So very important, your name. Everything's got to match that positioning. Does that help anybody? Okay, give it up for Steven.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Mr. Lifestyle, Jamie Swindell, and what I do is I show speakers and trainers how to create a six-figure income by working just 1 week a month without any type of marketing or advertising.
Okay, pause. Now, that's not what you did when you came to me. You're doing this lifestyle thing. So tell them about the lifestyle thing.
Well, my challenge coming with James is that I had a lot of ideas and didn't have any real direction. So I wanted to kind of do I want to do everything all at once, kind of under one umbrella. So you would like come to my website and then there'd be like a couple different options you could pick from. And then depending on the option you picked, that would take you to another location of the site that would kind of give you more information about that option. So it was
And by the way, the options didn't match. So one was like creating the lifestyle, another was the speaker thing, another one was defeating the Cleons and taking over the universe. Another. I'm kidding. No, but that's a joke. But seriously, think about it. How many of you fall? I got you on that one. How many of you have fallen into that, where you got a bunch of these like different segments or markets, if you will, and you try to just lump it all under one thing? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So good. I don't want them to miss that, because I know a lot of people have probably the same problem of trying to lump everything in one bucket.
So what James stresses is what's the fastest way to the cash? What's the quickest thing we can do? And so that helped get me on the right track. I can do all the other stuff, later or on the side or something, but let's focus on the main thing, and let's build this thing. Let's make a lot of money off of this thing, and then we can do all the other stuff. So what's the fastest way to the cash?
So, okay, well, we got one. We got one who likes it. So when he started telling me his background, because he came in with this whole lifestyle kind of thing, which is not a bad thing, unless it's not a bad thing if you already got it established and you're kind of niched. But what he was going to do is jump into this big pool. Anybody else ever teach lifestyle out there? You ever hear of anybody teaching how to have a better lifestyle? Well, how do you be different if that's all you're teaching? So remember Rad Watkins. He was a life coach who now became animal leadership based on his background. Remember the animal leadership piece we did? Okay. So he starts telling me about his background. Good, tell what you do. And I was like, holy mackerel, that's really unique. That's not something that I teach. What he does, you'll hear in a second. And I'm like, you know what? That's something that would add value to my folks, and that's something that I could get behind. So why don't you go away and put this together? So tell what it is.
So one of the things that James stresses, I didn't hear it as much this time as some of the other events, but don't compete, complement. Don't compete, compliment. So whatever it is that you do or you want to do, have it be something that doesn't compete with your coach, your mentor, so that they can get behind you and promote you on the stage to their people, et cetera.
Or anybody else in a market.
Right.
So not just like one person, but how do you see, like the pizza shop doesn't compete with the video store, but they complement each other, and therefore they can promote each other. Okay?
So there's this whole other world of speaking that most people don't know about. It's called contract training, contract speaking. And there are companies out there that do all of the promotions. They do their own events. They put the butts in the seats. They advertise to companies and corporations, and so companies will send their staff to these events to learn about a variety of topics, from communication to computer stuff to networking to social media to whatever. And they need speakers to come in and deliver the content. So I've been doing that for the last 8 years and have gotten to the point where I could earn 6 figures off of just doing 1 week a month of training. And so a lot of people have started coming to me saying, hey, how do I do that? How do I get into that? How do I sell more? How do I offer my products? How do I break into it? And so I've been coaching trainers for the last 6 years on how to do that. And when I told that to James, he was like, all right, stop. All right, meeting over. Okay, so we're doing a joint venture. Okay, so we're going to do some stuff together. We're going to create some home study course. We're going to do all this stuff because most people don't know about this.
I have no idea about it. I have no idea what he knows about how to do this. So it doesn't compete, and I'm never going to teach that because I don't even have the credibility to teach it because I've never done it, but he has. So why wouldn't I want to allow him to serve you and everyone else on our list or anybody else comes to a speaker training? Would anybody want to learn how to do what he's doing? Look, Jane. Oh, we're still, oh, no, well, no, not yet. Not yet. I don't have my affiliate attachment to him yet. But no, see, so it doesn't compete with me. We're going to talk about this in 9 strategic partner currencies when I get to the part on networking. And one of those currencies is to fill a void for someone. So you may not, if you want to get in with someone, you may not have a list that you can promote them to, but maybe you could fill a void in some way. He fills a void for me. That's a great value to all of you. Obviously, you put your hands up. I never would have thought of that. I never would put something together on that because I don't have the credibility to do that because I've never done it. He's done it for, was it 8 years?
8 years.
8 years. So it fills the void. So I said, hey, do you want to do something together on this? And he said,
of course.
See, my goal when I'm trying to think for someone for coaching, this is just my internal goal, is I'm always thinking, okay, what could I do to help them make their coaching membership investment back as soon as possible? That's my goal. Davey calls something for self-funding. Everything that he implements for me, he wants it to be self-funding, meaning it funds, whatever he implements, it funds his salary. Pretty cool. So that it's like a wash. So it was a great investment for me to invest in Davey. So, I'm always thinking, well, how can I help folks? I want to try to do that. That's my internal goal. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great because I know a whole bunch of people would want to invest in a home study course. So I invited Jamie to speak at my speaker training in July on this. So we could start teaching it and help give value and work out the kinks and that sort of thing. So, cool.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go by manual. Maybe we split the mics down. Yeah. When was your first boot camp?
July.
Okay, so you left in July of last year. What'd you do Monday morning when you got home? Obviously, who was it? Davey said there's a fire hose of information.
Right.
What did you do particularly Monday morning that they can take away and do Monday and help themselves?
Just like yourself, you're overloaded with all this information, right? You're like, man, there's just way too much stuff. Yesterday was really good, right? It's like, whoa. So I just digested. Right, I did. I went home and I took that piece from yesterday, and I was like, oh, that was good stuff, man. Oh, man. And I went back and I took the day off on Monday, and I just went through everything. And I told my wife I joined this coaching program, and she's like, what? And so I already paid. So, I didn't tell her. I just did it. And I said, don't worry. I know this is going to work. And I said, I'm going to make some money. And I said, this is guys for real. I've been to other programs. And I didn't learn the stuff that James was teaching yesterday at all the other marketing events I've been to. So I got, this is for real. And I said, I like James. I can resonate with his personality. I'm like, he's a cool guy. And I said, all right, I could do this. And so, I went back home.
What did you do on that Monday? You got all these notes.
Okay,
you're
yeah,
overwhelmed.
so
you met a bunch of people. How about this? Which one or two things you did on Monday that they could take away and maybe it'll help them?
Okay, so one of the things that I was trying to get around was the branding and positioning. But what I got from this seminar was my fee structure was a little low. I was trying to compete with everybody else. And that position on promotional stuff, right? Do you remember that when you talked about promotional things? And I was fortunate to be in some publicity, like Wall Street Journal, MSN Money, CNN, little stuff, right? But I wasn't promoting it. And I'm like, man, I gotta put that out there, right? And so I'm like, I'm dumb, okay? And so okay, boom, I went out and I started promoting it and changing my website right away. But that branding thing, it positions you, right? If you have publicity, you gotta leverage it. And so that, and plus, I had to really think about how can I promote myself more as the expert in my industry, in my area, than trying to compete with fees like everybody else.
That is a writer-downer. That's
Because-
a profound line.
Right, because I was trying to match my competitors. My competitors are coming to my events, and they're bringing their own people to see how much I price. And I could feel people out when you're in a meeting with me. I'm like, okay, this guy's just kicking a tire here, right? And I'm like, okay, this guy's not for real. And I'm kind of figuring out, and then I see other people's website changing, and I said, geez, I think I'm trying to compete with everybody, and who's the best price low leader? I'm like, I'm not that. I am much higher level. And I had to come back with the bigger belief and say, I'm the man, right? And like, I'm the man, right? And so, right, it's really, I had to come back and say, no, I'm the man. I'm bad at what I do. I'm really good. And I said, and I've got results. I've been on the media. People love me. I said, I got to promote this way. And I got to change the way I speak. And it wasn't one thing. It was like multiple things because like I couldn't sleep, right? I don't know about you guys last night. That was good last night. I went back and reviewed my notes after the little party. I went back. I didn't sleep till 2. Okay, I was reviewing notes, and I emailed somebody last night, right? So I emailed one of the coaches last night as well, and I said, okay, man, I've got all these ideas, and it's like the speed of implementation, right? That whole thing like kicked my butt when he says, how fast you implement. You got to implement fast. And I'm like, okay. And so, it's just like a good coach, right? You get, and then, I don't know. Anyway, long story short, I just went back and started implementing little things until I was able to get into my one-day coaching with you.
Okay, cool. Susan, any tips, words of wisdom? It doesn't have to be Monday morning,
Well,
but
I can beat Monday morning. It was in the middle of the actual boot camp. So this was back February a year ago. Raise your hand, Lindsay. While we were sitting there, she said, you are not answering your email anymore.
Oh.
And she made up a new account for me. So that's my private account.
While you were sitting there, she
changed my old password so I couldn't even get in.
Hey, now that's a great assistant right there.
So,
Hey, Lindsay, how much does she pay you? I think we can top it and bring her over. I'm kidding. That's
Right,
really
no,
cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know
she's smart.
you did that.
And she directs all the staff to, don't steal her.
I would never. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
right.
awesome. Change the password. I never knew
and
that.
Okay, and then that was during, and then within the next month, I think just thinking differently was the biggest piece. So typically we would have these career coach training classes, and we might get 6, 7 people in it. And so I just heard, as I was thinking about how do I do this differently from all of the ideas that we got, I heard the Lord just plant in my head, buy one, get one. And I thought, wow, could we try that? Could that work? And I thought the only way it could work would be if we had volume. And we had volume. We filled not one class, not 2 classes, but 3 classes full with, for the first time ever, at a price point of close to $3,000. Do the math. And it was like, oh my gosh, I've just paid not only for this year's coaching, but my second year's coaching. So.
So 20, yeah, give it up for her. 20 seconds, 30 seconds, give them a tip that if you were coaching them, you would tell them, here's something that could help you right away, or maybe think that, something like specific, like a nugget that they could use that maybe you used. Would it be change your password?
Well, that one's already out, right? I think the thing that's really impressed me is hang around with people that are doing great things. And that's probably one of the biggest benefits from being in your coaching groups is the mastermind people. They say, I thought about that. Hang around with 5 people that are the sum total, and I thought, who am I hanging around with? I didn't know millionaires. I didn't know 100,000aires that I could just hang around with. And now I do. And so that makes me feel like I can still have my friends at home. I don't have to leave some of the precious people who are not making any money, but I still love them. From a distance. But now, you just have this absolute input, and it's true. It just it raises you up. So that's the huge piece is the masterminds, the collegiality here. It's awesome.
Yeah, so you don't have to be a part of my coaching or mastermind. You guys can go home and Get 3, 4, 5, 10 people?
Yes, you do.
Oh. No, but seriously, you can get 3, 5, 10, whatever, folks in your area. Or maybe, how many of you met some amazing folks here? How many of you exchanged contact information with them? Well, why couldn't you do every other week, get on the phone on a conference line? You can use www.freeconferencecall.com. Why don't you all get on the line every 2 weeks, every week, once a month, and spend 2 hours on the phone, get all 5 of you or 10, however many, and just brainstorm and hold each other accountable. You know, hey, Joe, you said the last time we talked 2 weeks ago you were going to come back and have this done. Why isn't it done? You know, that sort of thing. So you can create one right out here in the hallway with 3 or 4 or 5 people that you're, let me have this, Lindsay's dying to say something, that you're dying, that, you know, you can create it on your own, but you got to do it. I mean, you got to do it. I mean, okay, have you ever, I have one point. Have you ever left a seminar and gone home and tried to tell somebody who doesn't understand trying to better themselves that you just went to a seminar to better yourself? Anybody ever do that? Anybody ever look at you like you have 9 heads? Okay. So when you get home, you need that support. So why don't you, people you're sitting around right here, get in the hallway, 3 or 4 or 5 people. You know, somebody register for a phone number on freeconferencecall.com. You can get on the phone every couple weeks or every week or once a month or something like that. If you all happen to be in the same area, I know there's, is Wes here? Wes Christian? Because I know Wes is doing this. And I'll come back to you, Lindsay. Me and Jack Canfield were talking about you the other day. Oh, wait, here, hang on a second. No, you'll know why. Stand up, Larry. This is one of my clients, Larry. He's the push-up guy. He's going to set the world record for the most push-ups in an hour, right?
That's right.
So just tell everybody what you're doing, and just real quick, I love this. I'm totally off track.
It's a little project. This is the 5th year of the project, and the world record is 3,415. Actually, 3,414. So, you know, we progress over year to year.
In an hour.
In an hour, yeah. I'm up to 2,700 now, but I only max out once a year, and the contest, or at least when we're going to do it, is June 1st of 2012. So it's a pretty involved project, but it's a lot of fun, and it's really an interesting thing for my clients. I'm a business coach, so we talk about goal achievement, and it's a very good segue right into that. So.
And I told him I'd be there, right? Told him when we did our coaching thing at Lowe's, I said, I'm going to be there. I want to see this thing.
Yeah, everybody's invited. I hope I can do it.
I told Larry I'll sit on his back while he's doing the push-ups. Okay,
I've tried that, by the way.
I'm so sorry, but I'm going to do this to embarrass him. How old are you?
I'm 61.
Give it up for Larry.
Bring your sister.
So, no, you can't see his arms. So I was talking, Jack Canfield was in my room, we were eating and all that with his staff after he spoke, and I was talking to him a little bit about Larry. Did he connect with you? He did. Okay, cool. Wes, do you have a mic? And then I got Lindsay.
Yes, I do.
Okay, Wes, you and Tony somewhere, where's Tony? Tony, you guys started a little mastermind group, 6 months ago?
Yeah, we started it in January.
And just explain what you guys do. How many are in, and what do you do?
Basically what we do is we have 6 now. Yeah, we've got 6 people now, looking to add a couple more in the next couple of months. But what we do is we set it up so that we have partners. So every 2 months, we have the same partner for 2 months. And then we rotate. So we get to kind of mastermind with one other person, get their perspective, and kind of build a relationship with that person as an individual. So you kind of become friends even with people that you maybe have never met before.
So you have like an accountability partner.
Exactly. And you share your goals, you share, and it can be personal goals, spiritual goals, financial goals, and you just kind of keep each other accountable for everything.
And what do you do, by phone? You do it in person? How do you guys run it?
Well, the objective is to try and talk at least once a week for 5-10 minutes, just so that you can kind of keep each other accountable for your weekly goals. And then at the end of the month, maybe if you want to have a little bit of a longer call, you can talk for half an hour or an hour, just, whatever.
Now, Wes is the son of Bart, who fights with chickens. Remember Bart yesterday? Bart, stand up. That's Bart. Remember Bart got in a fight with the chicken? Okay. And Bart, how long have you been a coaching member with? Just real quick, because you'll see where I'm going here in a second.
I'm on my 3rd year.
3rd year. So how many masterminds or one days? Oh, we're going to do another coaching day on Monday here. How many? So three one days in 3 years.
Right.
How many seminars and masterminds have you come to in 3 years?
Well, 2 a year, so that'd be
2
4,
masterminds.
about to be 5 in June.
And then so seminars?
Seminars, I think this is number 10 for me.
Okay, so let's say about 15 different things, right? How many has Wes come to?
Every one of them that I've been at.
Okay.
And actually, he's been to a couple that I couldn't make. So.
Okay, now pass the mic back to Wes. Now I'm going to make you feel, thank you, Bart. I'm going to make all of you feel guilty. Wes, how old are you?
I turned 22 last month.
Everybody got that? So can you do what they did? They just started this little mastermind group in the hall. Can you all do that? Yeah. Okay, you got to do it. Okay, real quick, because we got about 12 minutes, but Lindsay says she's got something that's going to be a tip.
Actually, 2 things. I'll be really quick, but James touched on one thing yesterday about not being able to do it yourselves. And so I wanted to mention when Susan hired me 4 years ago, she told me, she was very honest. She said, I can't afford you, but I need you. And so she hired me knowing that she couldn't afford me. But she would not be in the place where she is now. So she hired me basically as an assistant, but now I manage pretty much every aspect of the business, including how she spends her time. So if you don't have someone, you need someone. You will not grow unless you have somebody helping you. So, and then the second thing, that one of the other biggest things that I've learned from James through all of our training with him is that you should be able to monetize almost anything that you're doing. So now, whatever we're doing, we ask ourselves, how can we make money doing this? You know, how can we monetize this? And if we're not making money at it, we need to stop doing it. And that's it. So those are my 2 tips. Thanks.
Deborah.
So I'm very transparent and I'm very honest. I don't remember what I did Monday after my first boot camp. But the tip that I have a couple of nuggets for you. Okay, how many have websites and you have something that someone can invest in on your website? Come on, show of hands. All right. Does your button say buy? Does it say purchase? Does it say invest? Because if it says buy, you need to change it. And I actually am so into wording, and I couldn't believe that I was unconscious about that on my website. So the first day here on this boot camp, I quickly texted my gal and said, change all the buttons. So that's one thing. And for future, you know, being able to pay attention to those simple things, buy versus invest on a simple button, it's a big stopper. One of the
folks,
biggest things.
Excuse me 1 second. Folks, don't go over that, breeze over how important that is. Think about that.
It's very important.
It's a negative trigger. Don't use the words buy, order, cost, price, sell, purchase, fee. Again, don't use the words buy, order, cost, price, sell, purchase, fee. Okay? Okay, go ahead.
Absolutely. The investing in yourself is huge to know for yourself as well as for your future clients. But one of the biggest things I got from the boot camps is when James had been talking about home study products and do you have something that you love, you're passionate about, that you could teach someone? And then Ed came up on stage and was talking about, you know, what he was able to do for other people as well as for himself with home study program. And that really took to me. And I want to tell you guys that if you are even thinking about doing a home study program, you can easily do it by signing up with Ed's program. But that's one of the things I did. And my very first sale, if you will, investor, I was sitting in my bedroom, on my bed in my jammies, which is one of my favorite ways to actually do my work. And it was the best feeling ever. And I actually I made the product out of something that people had been requesting forever. They wanted to know, how are you so confident and you know what you're getting from the divine source and you're using your intuition? And so I actually took what people were asking for, you know, and I turned it into a home study program. And I think that is one of the things that every single person here could go home and do right away. Go record something. Get Cindy. Where's Miss Cindy? Is she in the room? I had Cindy transcribe my recordings, which turned that into a transcript. I made an action guide.
1 second. Right, you can write this down if you like. Here's how you can reach Cindy. My sister, my assistant, she can also do transcription for. I'm back here. Sorry. Transcription, www.transcribeyourbook.com. Transcribeyourbook.com.
And you guys, seriously, I had one of my gals shop around. She wanted to shop around, and I just knew, again, I'm intuitive. I'm clear what I know, and Cindy, I just knew would be stellar, and she was better than I thought. She was so fast, I couldn't believe it. So you can get this done really quick. Record it, get it transcribed, hire James. He's going to tell you exactly where to go to get, your artwork and everything, and actually the fulfillment house. So it's a no-brainer. It is a no-brainer. That would be my
So 20 seconds, a tip they can use when they go home.
Oh, it really is about getting it done fast. I took even longer than I should have with that product. I would just pick, prioritize. You can even just close your eyes, just think about all the things, and allow a something to just come into your consciousness that you know is going to be your first thing that you're going to be most excited about, that's going to get you to the cash fast.
Okay. Was that helpful for you from Deborah? Oh. Here's what I would suggest to you. This is kind of what I do when I go, and I was just at the Glazer Kennedy seminar. I was there as an attendee, actually. I did a little roundtable teaching one night, but I was there as an attendee. But I always think of, okay, I got all these notes and all this stuff. What are 3 things that I should get started on? I always do 3 things. So what are 3 things I should get started on when I go home? Because I got a gazillion ideas. How many of you got to have a gazillion ideas from here? What are 3 things that you're going to get started on when you go home? If you keep it to 3, they become simple. If you say, I got 57 things to do, well, what if you did 3 a day or 3 a week? Then all of a sudden you start chopping down the tree, right? Okay. What was the question? Oh, Monday morning. I say Monday morning, but maybe in the next week. I think what you ought to do on Monday is take it off. And seriously, relax. Is that what you did, Andrea? She's taking a whole week off. I think you ought to take maybe Monday, Tuesday off, let things chill out for you, and then get going maybe on Wednesday, or if you take the whole week off. So when you're going home, your first boot camp was last July? Yeah, okay, so you leave the seminar, and you go home, and what'd you do?
I don't remember either. The first thing I did from the boot camp, what I got out of that is I needed to go niche. I knew real estate investing. I knew I needed to go niche. So it was just making that decision to follow what the expert was saying and start the process. What you should do to move forward, because people ask me all the time, oh my God, you actually finished a product. How did you do that? And honestly, I don't have a lot of time. I have a lot of other business activities, so this is very part-time for me. And the thing that helped me get it done, 2 things. One, James has taught me, good is good enough. And not that my product is just average or good. It's excellent and it's phenomenal. But I was stuck in I was editing my audio. Anytime I said, or I was actually taking the time to take it out because God forbid I say, And I got to the point where it was just dragging, and I just heard James, hey, good is good enough.
Yeah, it's something I learned from Dan Kennedy. Good is good enough. Just get it. You can always
get it done.
Okay, because Julie, is Julie here? Julie Carrier? She's not. Every time I call on her, she's not in her room. I told her this last night, Bill. But Julie is a recovering perfectionist, and she says that, right? But she's getting great now. So you gotta just move forward. I hate to break this to you. I don't think it's ever going to be perfect in anything we do. So. You got to get it moving. You can always go back and refine it. Not that you're not trying to do the best quality that you could do, but you got to get moving. GSDF, get stuff done fast. Speed and implementation. Okay? Remember what Bill Glazer said. The only difference between ordinary income and extraordinary income is speed and implementation. Okay, so they're sitting here. What would you suggest for them moving forward when they leave?
What I suggest when you leave is that understand you have these big goals and you have big dreams, and we all do. The reality is we have time. Don't be in such a rush to need to get to the finish line immediately, because when you're doing that, then you're stuck in, I have to get the 57 things done, and I promise you'll get nothing done. And then you'll start feeling bad about it, which slows you down even more. So the thing that I'd say is understand this is a journey and it's a process, and enjoy that part of it, and pick one thing. Well, James said pick 3. Just pick the thing or the couple things that are in front of you and do only those things. That is the only reason I got my product done, is because James, I will tell you, I did not like James. I was mad at James when I was first coaching with him.
I was just going to say this.
Yeah, he wouldn't give me what I wanted. And he said, I said, well, teach me how to build a list while I'm doing my product. And he's like, nope. I'm like, what do you mean? No, I'm wasting time. He said, you're wasting time arguing with me. Go get your damn product done. And so now I use that for my coaching students when I say, hey, listen, are you looking to pay me $15,000 to be your friend? Or are you looking to pay me $15,000 to get you an apartment building that makes you money? And so as my coach, he's not going to tell me what I want to hear. He'll tell me what I need to hear. And what I needed to hear is, Stacy, I am not giving you the next step till you finish the first step. And that's the only reason I have the product done, is because I only did that one thing until it was done. And then James gave me the next piece and the next. And that's why I've been able to move forward. So just get that one thing done.
I remember that. I totally remember that.
I love him.
We would do a call, and she'd be like, why did I do this list and all that? I don't know. Get your product done, then we'll do that. See, so many people, it's like this, right? People say, show me the money. Well, and they come to me for like speaking stuff. Show me the money. I'm like, I can tell you how to find the coordinators at colleges if you want. I'll tell you the associations where they're members of, but it ain't going to help you. If you don't know the right positioning, if you don't know when they book, if you don't know which topics they book, which ones they don't book, so what if you know how to get to the coordinators? So what if you know the websites where they are? Doesn't matter. And that's kind of what she was like, how do I build a list? How do I do it? It doesn't matter. You got a list. For what? You got nothing to help them with. Now you do. Get this done first for her. Get it done first. This is your foundation. Then we'll do all the other stuff. Got it? Good. Okay. We're coming up on the break time here. So, Stephen, you were just here in February for your first boot camp.
Yes.
You were referred by Kim Lyons. Anybody know Kim, who was one of the trainers on The Biggest Loser? You didn't know me from Adam.
No, actually, I did know you. Charlie Lyons, no relation, was helping me, and he said, hey, you should check this online for my first pitching from the stage. So I met him via online, listened to his audios, and then used his techniques to pitch my first product from the stage. And that went well, and then said, well, this guy knows what he's doing. So then I went to the event. And my tip is a little different. It's not about money, it's about right now. And when I sat in the audience, what I realized is, geez, I've had some really good success, but what is stopping me from getting to the next level in my own career? So I coach a lot of people to do it, but I was kind of blind to some things. And so my question to you is not about what you're going to do on Monday, but more about what you're going to decide right now. And if it's with James or somebody else, I suggest James, is what are you going to do differently? And if you don't make the decision, everything that happens, starting, stopping, or changing anything in your life starts with the decision. So, for me, being a coach and working with coaches is get somebody that's already done it. Why struggle and go through all the things that you don't have to when you can find experts to show you the way? And so I think the tip for me to you is making a decision and finding a way to have somebody mentor you and take on all the hard steps that you don't need to go through, and find an expert, make that decision. And if it's the other thing I'll add to that is put time around it. Do not make decisions without time, when you set those goals. And if there are tips, that you're going to take from here, put time around it. And the first week I'm going to get this done or that done. And then for me, what I did on my Monday, I signed up for the coaching, was really look at what's different about what I do. And he had given me some insights in the training. I talked with him, and then how do I uniquely position myself away from therapists and life coaches? And then so then what I focused my time on was, how am I different? Not how am I the same, how am I different? And how can I move from here to a category that you cannot be shopped by. You can't be shopped by an hour for a therapist, but here it's a unique product that is your own brand. So that's my tip.
One of the things that I'll tell you is you got to get out of the therapy charging model, charging by the hour. Because they can judge you based on how everybody else charges. And there's only a cap. right? There's a cap on what you're going to be able to charge per hour. Okay, it's like when you package material. Stacy has all this knowledge for apartments, right? And if we put it into this, a book for her particular situation, how much, if I hold this up, how much do you think this is worth? Or what do you think it costs? 12, 10, maybe 15 bucks? Okay, maybe if it's thicker, it might be 20, 30, 40 bucks, right? So if you put all your information, in her case, in this, there's a perceived price on what it should be. Does everybody get that? So why would we do that? Why wouldn't we put it in a different method of learning and create the same information, same teachings, but put it in a different method of learning into a home study course? And what does this go for? $19.97, not 20 bucks, $2,000. Because it's a course, it's not a book. Does everybody catch that? Okay. Same information could be packaged eventually at the right time into a training that could go for $5,000. Same information pretty much, right, that would go into that book. But if you spent years and got all this information, why would you stick it into something that you can only charge 10 bucks for, 12 bucks for? Not to say you shouldn't have a book. It depends on your situation. Does everybody got that? Okay, is that helpful for anything from Stephen? Okay, maybe not.
It was helpful for me.
Okay, last one here, last 2 minutes, then we're going to take a break. What would your first one was when? Last July?
December.
Oh, it was just December. And then you're in February.
Correct.
Okay, so you're fairly new to sitting here. You've been to other ones, but when you leave an event, or what do you suggest they do when they get home?
Well, one of the things I heard James say at one of the previous events that really stuck in my mind was decide on the price, the lowest price that you are comfortable charging or working with, as far as like what's the value of your time and what is that lowest amount, and don't charge anything lower than that. So I kept thinking about that, and so when I went home, I looked at my coaching programs, I looked at some of the different products I offer, and I realized with my coaching programs I had the ideal client level, which like 95% of the people signed up for. And then I had the, okay, I'll do it for this kind of level, like, it's okay. And then I had the welfare level, all right? And so I realized I never even wanted, like most people didn't even sign up for it, but I didn't even like talking about it because it was totally against lifestyle. It was against everything that I believe in, but I figured I need to have something for the people that complain they don't have enough money, so let me just have something down there. And of course, they are the biggest pains in the asses that you could possibly imagine. And so the first thing I did was I killed that level, just killed it, and just focused on, all right, I can do this level, all right, I'm comfortable, I can work with that, and my ideal client level is here. And so it freed me up just even mentally. I don't even have that negative energy in the call to even discuss this thing that I didn't even want to deal with.
Does that help anybody? So a big thing for Jamie was eliminating something that it's kind of like what we talked about yesterday, the hate doing list. That was probably something he didn't like doing, so why are we doing it? So, okay, remember, create your business to support you and what you like to do and your lifestyle. Don't create your lifestyle around your business. Remember why you're in business. You're not in business to run a business. You're in business for freedom, so you can do what you want, where you want, when you want, however much you want, with whomever you want. Got it? Okay, were they awesome? Did anybody get any ideas from them? Okay, we are going to take, just so you know, frame of reference, we are going to take a quick 10-minute break, and then we've got one of the coolest surprises for you that you will enjoy and love. Please come back in 10 minutes. And yes, somebody asked if they can still turn in coaching forms. Yes, you can. Let's take a 10-minute break, and we'll be back and get going. Give yourself a round of applause. Oh, you guys were awesome.